It's been a great week of Keysanity races. We've seen so many different seeds play out. We've seen the pedestal seeds. We've seen the G Tower double dips, though not enough of them. And let's find out what we're going to see today.
I am excited. Both of these runners, I think, are pretty experienced runners. I know BigDunka, did relatively well, I think, in the main tournament last fall. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes for sure.
I could probably get those actual stats. Hold on one second. Yeah, it's fun to see a lot of the players from the Open Tourney coming back and racing in the Keysanity tournament, despite the fact that Keysanity for the most part is a very different beast to tackle.
Absolutely.
Very different play styles that it requires, and kind of different knowledge of the game. Still, requires a good chunk of knowledge from the game. We got a small key at Lumberjack Cave, and BigDunka going down the stairs just to double check.
You never want to see those keys in Lumberjack Cave because one of the really interesting things for me about Keysanity is there's so many items in the overworld, potentially with the number of keys that are shuffled. And unfortunately, when you can't get to those items right now, there's no way to know whether they're important or trash until the very end of the game.
Exactly. So we don't know if that's a small key to Skull Woods or a small key to Required Swamp Palace. So it'll be up to the players to decide. Of course, they can't do or get that key until they get all the required items that they need for Aga Tower, such as 2 small keys, lamp, 2 swords or a sword and a cape, etc., etc. So we got a little bit of ways to wait. But as soon as you see 2 castle tower keys, you got to be thinking, oh, and they need the boots, of course.
Absolutely.
You got to be thinking, this might be an Agassi, so we'll see.
Yeah. It's always a bit disconcerting when you're walking through Kakariko Village and you find a cape and a lamp and a fighter sword. Your stomach starts to sink a little bit. But BigDunka is getting into the meat of the Kakariko checks here, so we got a lot of chests. So let's see what we get.
Yeah, and fortunately, both players getting bailed out by finding bombs in the Lost Woods will allow them to route this more efficiently instead of having to trek down to the bomb shop after grabbing some more rupees. So that's good for them. Small key 2, Desert Palace. Flippers. So no flipperless Houlihan today. And 2 more compasses. All right. So right now, I'd say right now, for the most part, all right, I guess small key 2 T-Rock, which we'll probably need at some point. These players are probably oftentimes looking for at least some sort of weapon to the start, because you don't want to have to trek through Hyrule Castle or even doing Mini Moldorm Cave with bombs only. It's a slow process. So anything like a hammer, a hook shot, or I don't know, a sword, even a boomerang would be at least slightly more helpful.
Absolutely. Makes that bomb shot a lot easier to pull off in Hyrule Castle.
Definitely.
I think after the Open Tournament, most of the experienced players are pretty comfortable with doing at least Mini Moldorm Cave with bombs, but that doesn't mean it's easy and that it can't go wrong for you really, really quickly.
Alright, just another Dark Palace small key. So that brings our small key counts to what? We got 1 for Dark Palace, 1 for T-Rock, 1 for Desert, and then 1 on the Lumberjack that we don't know of.
Yep.
So
that pod small key is really interesting. Those are always good to get early.
Yeah, because there are, a total of 6 of them, I think?
6 total. Ooh, and the Moon Pearl.
Right off the bat.
Check. For me, I think Pod is one of the most interesting dungeons in Keysanity in particular, because depending on the skill of the runner and which skips and which routing options they have available to them, that dungeon can be very, very different in terms of the requirements to actually get what you need out of it. So it's a really pivotal dungeon for a lot of runners in Keysanity.
I'll be curious to see if these players choose to take the same route, continue taking the same route. We got a small key in the library, so that's 2 keys that are potentially blocked behind boots that may or may not be required.
Yep. Ooh, wow.
Well, there's a weapon.
And what a weapon.
And Vulajin takes the lead by opting to go straight into the maze race as opposed to checking on it first. That is tremendous. That's game right there. Like, that's it.
I think we can go ahead and call this one. It's
yeah, just go ahead and tell them it's over.
It's just 2 hours of watching it play out now, so.
Unfortunately, though, Hammer, good for Hyrule Castle, bad for Mini Moldering Cave.
Definitely doable, but definitely a little bit sketchy with 3 hearts and green mail. You have to get really close to those mini mold arms to hit them with the hammer.
Oh, that is so painful to see. There's the bottle, so had they started at Link's house, they could have already checked the sick kid and gotten that item out of the way. So now they'll have to potentially trek back to Kakariko to check that later. Of course, maybe they'll find powder too, so they can route a Batcave check as well.
That would certainly be very convenient. Or a flute. A flute would be a great thing to find right now.
Or, you know, maybe once they have Dark World access, they find both the gloves.
Even a single glove at this point would be pretty huge for them. Getting them that Dark World access with the hammer, they know Aga is not going to be required. So, at least if they get that glove early.
Mm-hmm. We got a Dark Palace, big ol' key, which doesn't really tell us much yet, but it's good to start getting those big keys out of the way because we know we'll be looking for them.
Absolutely. Vulajin is heading over to do that mini Moldarm cave. Judging by his bomb count, he's expecting the hammer. Getting a little bit scared on the right side there, but he should be able to get the rest with bombs as long as they don't troll him too badly. Oh, and that castle tower small key in the first chest in the dungeon. Oh, what happened there on Vulajin's side? That mini Moldarm looked very much like it got hit by that bomb, but it did not die.
Yeah, I've seen that happen every now and then, but we got a glove, we got a cane, we got some more bombs. And what big key was that?
I believe that was the Turtle Rock big key. And it looks like we're going to be doing the Big Highway Island, maybe Hobo, and then Zora area. Wow, so many Overworld small keys in visible locations. Big Highway Island has another one. Oh, wow.
That was cutting it pretty close, down to half a heart. I mean, I know he was might have been setting up to do the Death Warp thing, but hey, finding a hookshot there right at the end.
Absolutely, and the lamp is at Hobo on Vulajin's side.
Oh my gosh.
So
all right,
lots of really accessible early game value here. It'll be interesting to see, once we get all those items on both sides, which player decides to head up to Death Mountain first. You always want to try and wait, or at least I do, until you can do the Dark World portion of it as well, but getting this stuff so early, you have to start wondering. And Vulajin gets our first sword in the Waterfall Fairy Cave. 9.5 minutes in, pretty comfortable. I don't know about you, but for me, it's always such a relief to get that first sword. You know, oh, and taking a death in the Zora region.
Did that Zora just like come out of the water and just snipe him there at the last second?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, he was clearly planning to go. He's got the rupees and was, you know, walking up there, but Silver Linings, he gets to quick warp right back over to the back of Escape and grab 3 chests.
Yeah, you're seeing such a packed overworld with items. You got to think that somewhere along the lines, something's gonna like stop these players in their tracks and make them start double dipping.
Absolutely. We picked up a medallion there. I think it was it?
It was the Bombos medallion.
Perhaps.
So that's a good find, and another fairy in a bottle. So we do have a little, you know, safety for later when that's needed. But yeah, the thing is, like, we've gotten a ton of items, but when you're getting all these items, that means you're not getting, you know, small keys, big keys. So it's like there's a balance to it. So that just means that, and now they have Dark World access, so the world is open to them at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does look like Vulajin is going to be the first to head up Death Mountain. Interestingly, he does not have that hook shot that BigDunka has.
His trip up there will be relatively short.
Yep. Fortunately, he gets that save point, so if he can route it in with another convenient save input point, it won't really cost him too much time.
Yeah, the thing is, though, he does have that Dark World access, and I'm worried that for him, he might opt to go to the Dark World instead of checking out Hyrule Castle.
Absolutely.
So I still feel like, despite the fact that I'd never listen to my own advice, it's always a good idea to try and clean up as much of the Light World stuff before diving too far into the Dark World, because once you start doing Dark World, you ain't never going back.
I tend to agree. The one really unfortunate thing for Vulajin is that he left, you know, literally 1 chest over in the Zora area. And if we have a late mirror, routing in that location is really, really difficult. And silver arrows are on top of Spectacle Rock, speaking of one-off locations. Yeah, for me, I don't know about you, but one of the worst things is checking almost all of an area and turning what would be a 3-item or 4-item area into a 1-item area. And you just made it that much more difficult to get yourself to go back later. And Zora dropping the Master Sword, so it's pretty unfortunate for Vulajin. With that early Master Sword, you've got to be wondering again about, you know, walking up Aga Tower. We do have, I think, that 1 Castle Tower key.
Alright, sorry about that. I think we should have our tracker situation figured out.
Great.
So, all good. And wow, we got our very own Vulajin heading to the Dark World. Let's see what kind of hype we got going for us in Hype Cave. Now, he only has 4 hearts, and a lot of enemies in the Dark World do a lot of damage. So he's going to have to be extremely careful, especially after already suffering 1 death, unfortunately, to Zora in the Zora domain. We got a big key for Misery Mire. So that's
nice.
Puts us at like 3 big keys now, I think, something like that.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, we got some maps, a single arrow, and a small key to Ganon's Tower.
I don't know if you saw or noticed, but BigDunka found the Master Sword on the Zora drop that Vulajin died before getting. So we do have a bit of a sword advantage, especially going into the Dark World. The difference between Fighter Sword and Master Sword can be pretty significant.
The sword? Wait, so like Zora's Ledge, or
no, Zora himself.
Oh god, yeah. That's unfortunate. And we do have Ice Palace and Thieves Town are our Pyramid Fairy crystals for the day. We haven't made it over to Sahasrahla to find out what the green pennant is yet. But we do have those 2 maps. Unfortunately, one of them... wait, weren't both of them, like... ice? Well, I don't know. We'll see what they have. See if we'll get a map check at any point.
So So BigDunka making his Death Mountain play. He does have that hook shot, so he'll be checking significantly more. Vulajin finding out whether Ganon's tower is a pendant or a crystal.
The worst. That and Hyrule Castle, like, I hate those items.
Absolutely.
Should put those back into their respective dungeons.
I tend to agree. Interestingly, neither of the runners have actually made the, like you said, Sahasrara play, but also the early Eastern check. A lot of runners go back and forth on diving Eastern. I know some people like to treat it as just more overworld. Some people, you know, like to avoid double dipping the dungeon, but...
I think it's fine if you don't, like, have Dark World access or, like, access to East Death Mountain or stuff like that, but these guys have a lot to do, so I could see them putting it off. And who knows, maybe they'll run into the Eastern Palace Big Key at some point, and then they'll be able to at least route in, grab in the chest as well, and just leave in Armos.
Another Turtle Rock small key.
So that brings our count up to, I think, 2 now for both players?
BigDunka with a save and quit, I was not expecting. I don't know if maybe he got bodied by some rocks that I didn't see and was a little bit lower on health. But,
I think he was doing that just because you'll see some players do, like, the bomb across the gap in Spectacle Cave, so he might not know that, so he opted to do that instead of walking all the way around.
Yep.
Yeah, if we find, like, the Mire over here, then that makes the hookshot even more required.
Absolutely. Here we're going to get our sick kid check from Vulajin.
Oh, here we go. Small key 2. Dark Palace.
All right.
Alrighty.
All right, and a lot of chests coming up on BigDunka's side here in Paradox Cave.
Yeah, this could be a big swing for him. Unless we keep getting stuff like that. And it looks like Vulajin is going to be entering the Dark World via the Village of Outcasts portal. See if he pops into Skull Woods immediately after, or heads down into Village of Outcasts himself. Another heart piece. 50 rupees. 10 heroes. Oh gosh.
Not a lot of value here.
There's something. Thieves Town, that's big. Alright, well, at least that's valuable, because that opens up that big chest, and I don't think we've seen the Thieves Town big key yet.
I don't believe so. Looks like Vulajin is going to head up into Skull Woods. You know, ordinarily, I'm a big proponent of early Skull Woods checks, but when you do have the hammer, it's a little bit more of a tough decision, I think, because you know, you're between the hammer and Samara, you're pretty well equipped to deal with the stuff you find in Thieves Town. I guess we don't have the Thieves Town big key yet, though, so we're just getting the first 4 chests. But
yeah. Vulajin finding a piece of heart to get him a 5th heart container and full health right before taking a what would have been death from that Gibdo.
Yep.
Since he was only at 2 hearts, so getting bailed out there. Oh, down to 1 heart. Gotta be careful. All right, now he's still in 1-hit KO. And,
oh Lord.
Yeah, hammer is not a good item, but fortunately he does have that fairy in a bottle, and BigDunka picking up a 2nd fairy in a bottle, and that's going to be it for Tower of Hera.
Yep.
So that hookshot not really giving him too much of an advantage at this point until we find the Thieves Town big key.
And it looks like BigDunka is going to go route in that Spiral Cave check that he skipped to go over there, and then I'll probably save him quite out of there. Unless he gets mitts.
Unless he gets mitts. But this is generally the route of choice whenever it comes to routing through East Death Mountain to get up to Tower of Hera.
It's always so satisfying having Kana Samaria coming into the Gibdo room in the back of Skullwoods.
There's a boomerang.
Best boomerang, though.
Yeah, the Kana Samaria does speed that room up quite a bit, and we got 300 rupees in Spiral Cave, which is nice, especially with these players having so little health and a lot of bottles. They might opt to, grab a potion here or there. They still need it for opening up Palace of Darkness, as well as chess game and digging game, but they are more than likely satisfied with the amount of reviews we have so far.
Absolutely. Definitely not going out of their way to pick up more overworld visible bees at this point.
So at this point, what is our next progression? I'm getting the feeling that there's got to be something maybe in, like, Eastern Pod, maybe?
Could be.
Especially Pod.
We've still got the Village of Outcasts chest to check. We've got the front of Thieves.
True.
But definitely, I mean, we're starting to run low on accessible locations right now, and we're gonna have to start. We're gonna have to start diving into some things and planning to double dip.
Ooh, a nice half magic pickup from Vulajin in the C-shaped house. That's always helpful.
It's never really necessary, but it's definitely a confidence booster, and it can end up putting Spike Cave in logic, which is always a location you hate to check, but it's good to know when it's actually possible for it to have something.
Yeah, what are we going to find in the bombable hut? We got magic powder. All right, so there's that powder I was talking about earlier.
Jen, I'm sure wishing they had the mirror right now, but it's a nice safety in addition to unlocking the bat, so.
Oh, there's the bits. All right, that's huge. That opens up. Well, now they have access to Ice Palace, the Mitts, Flippers, and Bombo's medallion. So, and Hammer. So they could do quite a bit in House of Darkness, depending on. No, Hookshot is in logic, so
totally accessible. So
yeah, I always love seeing the fire rod behind Bombo's scenario. I don't know. I find it an interesting option. Yeah.
I agree.
Vulajin will have to make his way back into into Hyrule Castle after getting the map if he wants to go get that hookshot, and he could also route in checking the sewer chest as well.
Absolutely. A lot of times I think runners now are hoping they can grab that mirror before doing that so they can route it in with their pyramid area checks in the Dark World, but
yeah,
sometimes that just doesn't work out.
Wow, and first 4 chests of Thieves Town, 2 of them being maps, one of them a useless map.
Yep.
Not much value going on here, and fortunately, being at such low health, he'll be able to just take a Death Warp here and continue on his merry way.
It'll be interesting to see if we're gonna get the dwarves and all of that. Right now we're in the mode of saving and quitting. It looks like. Oh no, that was just the Death Warp.
Yeah, I could see him doing digging game and then going back up, getting the frogs and taking the frogs on a little bitty tour, maybe all the way up to Pyramid or something. Green Pendant is in Skull Woods. All right. So that unlocks, that opens up. Oh, there's the Ice Palace big key. So now that plus the Cane of Samaria definitely puts Ice Palace into the logic.
Absolutely.
So, you got to be thinking, well, maybe not for Dunka since he doesn't have the mitts yet, but collectively, you got to be thinking Ice Palace should probably be the next play. Of course, if we can find the Ice Palace small key, it'd allow them to route that a little bit easier.
Absolutely. Having that small key going in is just a huge sigh of relief. It's not really much harder. It's not really any additional difficulty. But being able to just jump over to those right side chests immediately through the key door is just a huge time save.
I'm actually curious what, in the logic, how many small keys are required by the logic to complete Ice Palace? Because of course it doesn't account for the bomb jump at all. So.
Absolutely. Ice Palace is also a weird dungeon because the number of pot keys relative to chest keys is really, really interesting, and the logic of the level absolutely requires you ordinarily to be using pot keys. So it's one of the more complicated dungeons. Everybody thinks about pod, but it certainly is complicated. But Ice Palace is actually really, really interesting in the key logic. It doesn't work like most dungeons.
Yeah, I still don't really know how to route Ice Palace. I just wing it every time and hope for the best. And half the time it works.
There you go. It's a fair strategy.
Yeah, we see only a big 20 from the back cave, so that wasn't anything of value. But having that powder, especially with how much health these players have right now, is nothing to shake a leg at. And we got another heart container, so curious to see if Vulajin's gonna save and quit with that purple chest, or if he's just gonna head on out of here.
Well, so the interesting thing is that he actually save and quit immediately after grabbing the blacksmith.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, so he did not actually go down and do digging game or anything else.
That's... I think he's already done digging game. He did that with his Hype Cave tour.
Oh, there you go. That's correct. Yeah, so he already did that southern route there.
But fortunately for him, this looks like the play into Hyrule Castle, so he'll be able to check quite a bit here. Unfortunately, if he had gotten that Master Sword from Zora, he'd also be able to route in at least checking one chest in Aga Tower.
I think they do have an Aga Tower key, if I recall correctly.
Ah, there's that Palace of Darkness big key. So... Stunned enemy prize is a little bit of magic refill.
Not a bad one, although with half magic, it's not what you're hoping for.
Yeah, it's pretty insignificant at this point. And let's find out what the last item that BigDunka is going to be able to get in Eastern. It is just a heart piece, so... for the most part, nothing really of value in Eastern Palace. He did get that Ice Palace big key from Sahasrahla, and a little bit of information about where the green pendant lies, but other than that, what is the next play? For him, it's Village of Outcasts.
Absolutely.
He has to go get those mitts, and then he can go back up and do Dark World Death Mountain.
Absolutely. I think when it comes to dungeons, we're a little bit short on pod keys to consider diving in there. I agree with you. I think Ice Palace kind of has to be the first dungeon that we're going to go dive seriously.
Ah, there's that Castle Tower small key you were talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, and the thing is, the unfortunate thing for Vulajin is he's probably never going to go back to Zora anytime soon until he has Mire and you can do Catfish Zora, route those together.
Exactly.
Because that's such a long trek all the way for one item, so at this point you gotta just hope. But it's another one of those situations where if you have a goal or a set path and you take a death or make a mistake, the second you change your option or change your mind and don't do it, it's gonna bite you in the butt.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know why, but that always seems to happen. It rarely doesn't happen.
The game is absolutely sentient. I am convinced of it, 100%.
The game totally knows. But who knows? He might find another Master Sword or somewhere else. I mean, we still have 2 more swords we're looking for.
True.
And he'll probably take this opportunity to get this hook shot, take a death warp, and check that sewer chest.
Yep. It's incredibly unlikely, but not impossible, that there's nothing in Ice Palace, and we end up converging on needing to do that Aga Tower check to get our progression. I would hate to see that happen for people, but it is not impossible at all. Sorry about that.
For shame.
Commentator score minus 10.
I need to double check. Yeah, I gotta go mute my phone so it doesn't happen over here. Dude, I did that weird thing where I woke up a minute before my alarm went off. I don't know why.
Oh, that's the
Does that happen to
thing.
you? I feel like that happens to everybody.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I was like, oh, I gotta get up and commentate. It was also one of those jump out of my bed kind of things, oh, did I sleep through my commentary kind of thing? Because my sleep schedule is bad and I always want to sleep through stuff.
Yeah, my problem is that every time I get a new alarm system of any sort, within a month, learn how to snooze it without consciously waking up. So I keep having to position my alarm in progressively more and more elaborate ways.
Gotta put it just out of arm's reach.
Oh, you'd like to think that's enough.
Alright, well, exciting enough. We are going to see our Dark World Death Mountain. This is also Vulajin's first time over to East Death Mountain, and we'll probably take a trip up to Tower of Hera. sewer chest only holding a heart container, which is not super valuable, but at this point is very nice.
Absolutely.
It is a luxury.
So Vulajin is going to have a little bit of a nicer time complete up here on Death Mountain, but unfortunately, without the mirror, he's still going to have to do this in kind of an inconvenient way.
Yeah, he'll still have to go up to Hera, then pop down to Spiral Cave, then go into the Dark World. Or do Spiral Cave, go back up, and just assume he has the right medallion for T-Rock, and go through that portal.
You know, it's not a bad gamble to make. It's a little bit of extra travel time if it doesn't pan out, but you can just drop back down and take the lower portal if you need to.
I mean, the crazy thing is he has 3 Turtle Rock small keys.
He can
supposedly
get all the way to the back, so
yeah,
that's a lot of chests.
And as well as checking, that awkward middle chest, the middle chest, the vanilla big key location, which no one ever wants to check, but
yeah. The unfortunate thing is with his current health, green mail, and the fighter sword, getting through some of those rooms is going to be a little bit interesting. He does have half magic, so he can bombos his way through the pokey rooms. But he's definitely very, very vulnerable to those chain chomps right now.
Yeah, I don't think he has... Well, he's going to find a fairy in a bottle here in Tower of Hera, which will at least allow him 1 free death.
Absolutely.
BigDunka now picking up his mitts, and let's see what his options are going to be after he'll probably hop inside, check the first 4 of Thieves. But will he... Actually, no, he's already done the digging game stuff, because he did the exact same route as Vulajin. Hype Cave to digging game.
Yep.
Save and quit, I think. He's just got to be careful that he makes it to all 4 chests before taking a death. Sitting at 2 hearts, it's a little scary. I think there was a heart container right here, maybe.
Or
maybe he just got one. Or a map.
I forget where, because Vulajin got saved, right, by that. Or no, that was in Skullwood. So he got this.
Yeah, that was
heart pickup.
Yeah, things are starting to even up. Unless Vulajin decides to hop into Eastern Palace at some point, you know, he's gonna probably find some good progression up in Dark World Death Mountain that will put him in the lead momentarily.
I would think so.
Yeah.
With Hookshot Cave fully accessible, you know, there's quite a bit to be had up here. It'll be interesting to see if we can complete the set of overworld visible locations having keys sitting there. We do have the floating island up here to check, and after that I think we're just down to, I think at least 1 person checked Bumper Cave, which didn't have anything.
We haven't seen Pyramid yet, so
yeah. Or the Desert Ledge.
Or the Desert Ledge. Or even like Agnes Cave, which is a separate thing, but
yeah.
But interesting, BigDunka, he got a full heart refill. I don't know if that was the reason why he saved and quit, or he was just planning on coming up here anyway, but this is going to even things up quite a bit here.
Yep.
All right, let's find out what we got up here. I'd at least like to see maybe like a blue tunic for these guys.
That would be very, very welcome, right?
First chest is going to be a heart piece. Second chest, Quake. Okay.
I think at this point you're definitely going over, and we don't have the mirror, but you're definitely going to go check that Turtle Rock medallion and possibly be coming right back.
Yeah, that's the thing is, do you trek all the way back at this point?
I think, you know, I think with 3 small keys to the dungeon, there's a lot of chests on the way back there, and if you think you can survive it, oh, but it's either.
Yeah, of course. Well, so much for that idea. Unless they find Ether in here, which would also just kind of be nice, because then you could just completely not have to worry about finding all the medallions anymore.
Absolutely.
Or even double checking what medallion is required for each one.
The one interesting thing about that is that even when you get the flute, depending on what else you've got available, hey, well, okay, there you go.
There it is. All right, well, the question now is, do you do Mire?
I think at the very least, with the flute and the mitts, I think you go over there and get the intel. I think you go over, you know, this is superstitious as heck, but I've had a really, you know, solid run of when I think I need something to potentially do Mire or Desert, Mire Shack, and something magically shows up. But it's good to get the intel regardless. And you know, give yourself that confidence to route.
I'll be curious to see if we find like the mirror or the bow in Misery Mire. They have the big key. They have the means to check literally everything in there, especially because they do have the hook shot to get through that across that first gap. And the means to complete it. We don't know if it's a pendant or crystal yet, so we'll find out. Yeah, what you gonna do, Vula? What you gonna do? You should take the purple chest while you're at it.
Absolutely, but we're not gonna do that apparently.
No, we're going to Ice Rock Cave, and then maybe even making that Zora check finally.
Here's hoping. That would be really good for him. He does have the flippers and just jump in the water and swim down. It's a little bit faster than trying to walk around. Well, I guess he can also actually just flute back to 8 from here, which should even be a bit faster.
Yeah, this might just be a quick Ice Rock Cave check, which would be unfortunate because we know what is that Zora, but he don't. Maybe this will also be a sword.
Sadly, no.
Big 20.
It does look like he's at least going to be fluting somewhere. He's not saving and quitting. He would really, if he's going to go to Mire, he would really like to have that Master Sword. Having beams going into the front of Mire, the difference between that room being really annoying or really quite quick.
Yeah, I mean, you could take advantage of using, similar to like the Gauntlet in G-Tower, using the Cane of Smarty to take out some of the Wizrobes, but
absolutely,
sword beams actually have some value, and it is Quake, so I gotta say, that has to be the play. I'm putting my foot down.
Line definitely shifted things from Ice to Mire, for sure.
There's the bow, so Vinny is already a lot easier. Of course, you know, if only they had that mirror to go get those silvers to make it just inconsequential.
Absolutely.
But it looks like Vula is gonna go ahead and go for it. Who knows? Maybe we'll find a mirror in here.
I think at this point, you know, if you're one of those players who likes to follow the breadcrumbs and try to play the logic chain a little bit, you know, I think that flute is always a big item to find. You know, it's kind of an immediate calling card for Mire area and Mire, so I like the play.
Yeah, it's going to be super risky. He does have that fairy in a bottle, and I think he also has a green goo, which doesn't really help him that much in this situation. But who knows? Maybe we'll find some more items in here that'll help him out, like a sword upgrade or a tunic upgrade.
Yeah, I would say that Vula has a little bit of a lead right now. That over time, the more these Dark World dungeons that we start doing, the more that sword disadvantage is going to start affecting the amount of time it takes him to do things.
Definitely. We will, assuming he does go to Vitreous, get to see probably some bomb and bow strats.
We're a little bit short on bombs, and
we're a little bit short on arrows if we want to do it's 8 for the big eye, and then 3 for each of the smaller eyes, and there's 9 of them, so 27 plus 8. Oh, so he has 1 extra arrow.
Yeah. So don't mess up.
Don't mess up. Green tunic, no big deal.
And having to do lamp strats in here is always a little bit frustrating. But Vula at least does know that you don't actually have to go push the blocks in both rooms first. You can totally just light the torches as you go.
He's gotta hope he doesn't get hit by another Wizrobe beam. 3 hearts of damage for each of those is not... it's not healthy.
Yeah, green mail is no joke, that's for sure.
I feel like there was a race yesterday where it was, what was it? The last medallion that they needed to get into the final crystal dungeon was like in T-Rock or something, and double big 20 pickup, and then the very next mail upgrade was on that boss, and then the very next upgrade was like right in G Tower.
Oh wow!
So it's like full game only in Greed Tunic.
Yep. Well,
which isn't too bad when you have tons of health, but Chain Chomp rooms or even like Ganon hugs, you go through that. Your HP so quickly. Absolutely.
It's one of those situations, where I think it definitely helps to have experience running the vanilla NMG run, where you're in green mail the whole game. The question is whether you're going to get similar heart distribution to that run, where you do end up, with like 12 hearts, I think, something like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even just like running like the harder difficulties in Randomizer or some extent of like low percent can give you that needed experience. There's also the practice ROM, which is really helpful because you're allowed to like practice every single situation with every single setup you want. You're like, all right, this time I want to do Cold Stare with only Master Sword, so you can only turn on Master Sword, and there's a Fire Rod. That's huge. Oh, especially with Dunka now going into Ice Palace, so when Vula makes his way over there, he'll have a little bit easier of a time getting through Ice Palace.
Yeah, especially with half magic, having the Fire Rod is super clutch. That's going to make that Cold Stare fight way less daunting with green mail and low health. It's gotta be careful of that Beamos, though. He's getting bodied.
No, Vula, don't do this. Unless he's looking for health. He might be looking for health. He has the powder, and there are 2 bunny beams in the next room. So he can easily go take advantage of either of those.
So the question is he just getting the bunny beam here, or is he actually rushing Vitreous?
He's rushing Vitreous. He's going to hookshot across to check that last chest.
Yeah.
Which I like that routing.
Absolutely.
More money. So we do know that Ice Palace is a crystal. We don't know if Mire is a crystal or not. So, and he does have the map. So maybe he knows, but we don't know what he knows.
And BigDunka opted not to do the bomb jump. He does have a Samaria. So it's an option for him.
Yeah, with Samaria you don't have to push the block down at all because you can just create your own block. The only problem is... Actually, no, there is no problem, because you don't even have to hit the switch or anything.
Yep.
You just gotta go downstairs. So you just need that one small key, which you can actually get from the pot key, assuming he goes that route.
Right.
But it looks like he's gonna opt to check out the right side, of course, so... You want to full clear this dungeon while you're here, you don't want to have to come back.
No question. I think the most interesting routing choice that players make at the start is, do you go left and get the Freezor's chest, and then come back and go right, or do the bomb jump across and go right, or do you just go straight right, regardless?
Yeah, it's a little bit different in like a normal mode because there's always that chance that the Freezors are holding a small key to go make the right side check a little bit easier. But let's see this Vitreous fight from Vulajin. He's got to be extra careful. He's opting to use the bow only. He does have plenty of arrows for it.
Yeah.
He does have a safety fairy in a bottle, so he can play a little bit risky here.
I think definitely with the low bomb count that he has, he was not going to get, that much damage off on those eyes. So I like the arrow strats in this situation. I think if you have, 10 or more bombs, it makes sense to start throwing them. That was a bit of a lucky shot there. Getting a lot of hits on the leftmost pixel of that little eye.
It's a slow fight, but he did it well. And oh my gosh, Ice Palace having so much of nothing. His last 2 items he got were both arrow capacity upgrades. Man, I can't wait until they stick those into a shop.
I agree.
Except I'm curious, maybe what are they going to replace them with? Maybe Rupors? Those are fun.
I do like Rupors. They screw with you, but I don't know. I like the the danger element of it, you know, where opening chests isn't always just free. Skullwood's
Useless.
not value.
So he's gonna hop down here, check that big chest, and then he'll probably walk all the way up to check the chest in the tea room, and then fall back down and set up to go to Cold Stairs. So we only have 2 more chests left to check in here.
Yep.
And
as far Ice Palace is a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe it's Pyramid Fairy that we need.
Could be.
Yeah. The way for this to work is he's gonna have to backtrack through this room, because otherwise you need to use a small key to go upstairs, which probably explains why he didn't pick up the small key, because he was gonna come back. Just a heart container. And it looks like Vulajin's gonna be probably finishing off Mothula at this point. There's still 2 items back there and a green pendant. So that's still, 3 items worth getting, and then he can route in, turning in green pendant on his way to checking Sahasrara for the first time. So that's actually really efficient routing from him.
I forget, how many pod keys do we have right now? We've got 2 on his side.
Seems like we only have 2, which is not enough to complete the dungeon, even if you throw in bomb or hammer jumps and all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right,
it's unfortunate with the bow and the hammer. It starts to get really tempting to go in there. There are a few chests that are accessible, but it's a hard choice to make to go over there right now.
This is going to be a difficult fight for BigDunka, only having bombos, no fire rods, so he's going to have to rely on Master Sword and Hammer for this fight. He does have, I think, 2 fairies in a bottle.
Yeah.
So he can take a few deaths, because he's good chance he might die here. Those guys do a lot of damage when you only have green tunic.
And unfortunately, not keeping them up there, it's always hard with the Master. So many more hits than with Tempered, twice as many, in fact, that it's really hard to avoid getting bodied by the ice when you're up in the corner there.
Oh, Vulajin was trying to use a Death Warp to get back to the beginning, and accidentally squandered his last fairy in a bottle, which, would have been nice for that Mothula fight.
Yeah.
But, BigDunka, making me eat my words, very clean Cold Stair fight given his situation, and finding a small key to a worthless small key.
Yeah.
So Ice Palace could have just go-moded it.
Yeah. It's always a sinking feeling, when you run through a dungeon thinking, oh, this is totally the play, and then there's literally nothing. And it's one of the dungeons that's 10 times faster to go mode than to full clear.
Yeah, especially because he didn't do like the bomb jump or anything like that,
and
didn't have any small keys to route efficiently. So, but who knows? He might not be too far behind if Vulajin decides to go to Ice Palace and makes the same play. He doesn't have that Ice Palace big key yet because we know it's at Sahasrara, but he might opt to go there next.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh god.
Oh, that sucks. So the Wall Masters are pretty broken. Yeah. They can grab you while you're still falling. Yeah, they'll grab that tiny little pixel
when you're doing that, which is obnoxious.
Which is why oftentimes you'll see players just chill by the hole there, waiting to get the Wall Masters to drop before they drop down there.
The silver lining is he was able to grab some more health out of the on his way back through, and actually got some nice magic drops from the Gibdos, so he's actually in a bit better shape this time than he was last time. So
dude, that was some pro dodging right there.
Yep.
Yeah, BigDunka now heading into the mire. Got that bow, and we'll be picking up that fire rod here shortly. And we'll probably have a little bit easier of a time with Vitreous, assuming he uses his Master Sword and maybe some damage boosts. Yeah. But we'll see.
Right. This Mothula fight will hopefully go well for Vulajin. He's got half magic and the fire rod, so the real question is just how good is he at dodging those spikes while getting those shots off.
Yeah, he has double the opportunities to take down Mothula, with Mothula requiring only 8 shots, but sometimes, with the whole him taking no damage if you hit him into the spikes situation.
Yep.
Fight's looking pretty good so far. And he's down. Wow.
Very nice.
I was curious if he was going to switch to using that green potion to finish him off, but switch to the hammer and clobbering him real quick. Also works. We don't have that Skullwood's big key, so you're seeing the 7 out of 8 up at the top of Vulajin's screen, and that's because there's still the item in the big chest. So we might have to come back here later for that, but see if the hospital is
a super annoying one.
No, it's not too bad to get back to, but you know, you have the easiest way to do it is to come back and use a bomb jump to get across.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good fights from both these players. You know, Vitreous, Mothula, that Cold Stare fight. It's not an easy game, especially when you're using less than ideal strats. You know, because most of the time players at this point would have the Tempered Sword, and Vulajin's getting through with Fighter Sword still. So.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that sword disadvantage definitely will come into play at some point. Thus far, he's been fortunate to have the Fire Rod and have magic, like for that boss, but it's not actually hurting him too badly right now, so.
That hurt pretty badly. Just a 5-er. Oh, does he not tell you what the green pendant is anymore? Well, wait,
I think
he already knows what it is.
Once you turn
That's
it
why he went. I'm an idiot. All right. That was just one of those, like, mental disconnects. I need more coffee. I'll bring it back.
All right. So, unfortunately, without the Eastern Palace Big Key, Vulajin is still not going to be able to complete this dungeon. He's not really going to get anything of too much interest over here. It's been interesting route divergence so far from these two runners. We're ending up seeing them do pretty much the exact same stuff in just a slightly modified order, so might be a few minutes before we're actually getting new progression, but both of these runners are doing a pretty dang good job with not very good swords right now.
Ooh, Dunka's got to be careful here, down to only 1 heart, and he does have the powder, so he'll be able to also powder the bunny beams over here.
Yep.
So it's just one of those things. It's really good to have just even the most minor of like game knowledge of these little conveniences, like similar to like the 50-50 bomb bushes in the light world, or you know.
Absolutely.
Checking stunned enemy drops, stuff like that.
Yeah, there are a few guaranteed 50-50s in the light world that are really good to know about.
Very.
The south of the Grove one, and the one out in front of Link's house. And...
yeah, or even like all the extensive number of different tree poles, or quote-unquote tree poles.
Yeah.
My most favorite one is still one of the statues. The statue right to the left at Eastern Palace. I think it's after Agate Tower. Becomes a tree pole, which is hilarious. Because why would anyone ever be there to do that?
Yep. As well as the little, I don't know, I guess you'd call them statues, out in front of the pyramid by the Ganon fight.
Mm-hmm. I knew that one as a kid. I always thought it was weird. I was like, how come sometimes I get rupees, like big rupees, and sometimes I get small rupees? What the heck, game? I never figured it out.
I actually never knew about any of those when I was young, so it's been really interesting to actually learn about this game.
Yeah, and like just all the extensive amount of knowledge that people have gathered over the years of running this game, and just being like, having all that information thrown on you is like so satisfying.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and I know that you were commentating. I was watching the Overworld glitches little exhibition race that went on yesterday, and you know, even people who are, you know, familiar with a lot of the glitches that you can do, watching some of the things that those people were doing, and it's just like,
oh, I know.
You know,
I mean, I have some knowledge, a good chunk of knowledge of Overworld glitches, but seeing like some of the tricks you can use with, you know, potions and stuff like that, or some of the different clips, I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing. So it's really fun to watch.
Absolutely.
But yeah, BigDunka taking out Vitreous. 2 hearts left. He still had some safety fairies, so he was fine. He was also taking advantage of the damage boost to get some spins on the eyeballs to clear him out a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
And also good news for BigDunka, Vulajin taking the bait and going into Ice Palace for that beautiful full clear.
Yeah, at this point, you know, I think that with Vulajin making that play, these runners are really just about even. You know, if anything, you know, BigDunka with the sword advantage is going to be, I mean, a slight advantage, but they're making the same plays, just in different order.
I'm curious. I mean, it's obvious to, as a player, you're like, all right, do I go into a dungeon that I can't complete? I can't even like get around to checking everything in this dungeon because I don't have enough small keys for, or do I go into a dungeon that I could full clear? Because like I would have liked to have seen him go for pod, but this play makes 100% sense.
Yeah, I can't fault what he's doing. I mean, we know that it's not going to work out, but that pod decision is a really hard one to make. You know, with only 2 keys. You know, if he does know the bomb jump, and is willing to do some, you know, death warps, he can clear a fair bit of the dungeon. You know, he'll miss he can get the right side chests. He can actually get everything but the vanilla big key chest, and actually he can get one of either the vanilla big key chest or the little, what do they call it, the harmless hellway chest.
Yeah, pod is still kind of a tricky dungeon when you don't have the full set of keys to get in there. But at the same time, for Vulajin, you know, BigDunka is just doing all the stuff that he just did, so these players might end up being a little bit more on the same playing field at the end of this. Of course, you know, BigDunka will have to do this. He's not gonna be able to death warp because he does have those fairies, so he'll have to walk all the way back through here, and then still go and check the green pendant. But let's do a little recap of some options. We still have the 2 chests in Aga Tower that BigDunka can check because he does have that Master Sword. We haven't seen Agana's cave yet, I don't think.
No, we've not actually seen White World Desert area at all. I don't think we've had a ledge check.
Yeah.
Or an Agana check.
And I think that's it for availability right now until we find that Ether Medallion and open up T-Rock. That's about it. So you know, it's either pod or Aga Tower at this point. And especially finding that one single key for Castle Tower, you gotta be thinking there's something there. Unfortunately, Vulajin would require him to go to Zora to get that Master Sword upgrade.
Yep. I think that, you know, you get that small key there, you start wondering about it. You get that small key in the, you know, and what you need to get in there, and now you really have to be thinking about it. That early lamp, you know, you really got to start thinking about all of those dark room locations that are early game accessible.
Yeah, and BigDunka hasn't gone back to check like the sewer chest yet, so that's probably on his mind as well. And we also still just haven't seen the pyramid.
That's true. Nobody's been up there.
It's kind of an obnoxious location to route efficiently if you don't have like the mirror, or if you don't already have like crystals 5 and 6.
Right. I mean, I think the other option is when you don't have the relatively early flute that these players got, you know, you can end up routing it in pod if you've got a reason to go there. But with the pod key count, you know, that's been challenging so far.
And of course, we do still have 3 small keys in the overworld that we've seen. One at Library, which requires the boots. One at Lumberjack, which requires the boots.
Yeah.
And another Castle Tower small key. And the one at Lake Hylia Island, which requires, at this point, just the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, just to reiterate, that's one of the things about Keysanity that, you know, can make it really, really tough to make, you know, effective decisions. You know, a lot of those overworld locations like are really out of the way. You know, you look at Lumberjacks, and, you know, obviously you have to do Aga 1 to do that, which is not an insignificant time investment. You know, Lake Hylia Island, there's literally no other reason to go swimming over there other than to get that location. But in Keysanity, there's so many items that get distributed. You know, keys end up there.
It's very true. And I guess we also do have, I don't know if you mentioned it, the Catfish play as well.
We do have the Catfish play, which is kind of Vulajin's hope in that with Sword. Because if he goes to Catfish, he's definitely going to Zora. I don't think there's any way he just goes to Catfish and bails. So long as he has the mirror.
Only 300 rupees, so if this chest isn't it, then it's gotta be Pod. Also, the nice thing for Vulajin, yes, he has a lesser sword upgrade for Colster, but he does have half magic and that fire rod, so
yep.
He'll have probably a much easier time on this boss. Of course, he doesn't have the safety of those fairies in bottles. Oh wow, so Agate Tower having literally nothing.
Yeah.
So maybe that Lumberjack key is actually more valuable than we think? See, as that was useless?
I'm gonna go
check the sewer.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like it's winding down to be the pod play, and this is just one of the things about just rando in general. It's not only in Keysanity that a lot of times players will do literally everything and then get bottlenecked to one particular location, and it just goes to show it's like one of those things where, you know, a lot of players have kind of similar mindsets of how they like to route.
Yep.
And just comes from watching each other play, and, you know, all the SRL races that have gone on outside of the tournament. And there's also the fact that, you know, in a tournament race, you kind of have to look up your opponent a little bit.
Absolutely.
See what they're capable of. But yeah, at this point, I think Vulajin needs to head to pod, or yeah, he needs to head to pod.
Just
now that we know, yeah. Because now we know that Zora is not 100% useful. But this might be the purple chest play. Ooh, we actually haven't seen that yet.
True. Yeah, it's just, this seed is a great example of how Keysanity can be so different, you know, from open mode. Pod would have been the play so long ago, you know, in an open mode seed. And here it's your last resort, you know, with the key count. And it's really interesting how incorporating those keys into the item shuffle pool just changes everything.
Yeah. You know, I could actually see maybe some vanilla pod keys coming up here shortly.
I would not be surprised at all, actually.
Now, of course, the players do need to be aware of their key usage in this dungeon. And which is one of the things that makes this dungeon extremely complicated, because you know, they only have 2 keys, and there are a lot of locked doors that either just lead to one chest or open up the next section. Because they have the bow, they'll be able to skip one of the first locked doors. So, and then I'm assuming both these players are well versed in the hammer jump, so they'd be able to do a hammer jump to skip another locked door. There are 6 keys in Palace of Darkness, but using the bow and these little minor glitches, you can actually finish the dungeon with only 4.
Yep. Without the mirror, it's a little bit inconvenient to route it that way, but it's still way more efficient than having to go hunt for the keys out in the world.
Big 20. Nothing yet. I'm kind of feeling a mirror at this point.
I think it's pretty likely, and that would be a really convenient find here in this dungeon.
There's Bugnet. And we're finally going to get our desert check. Could you imagine after an hour and 4 minutes, Agana like holding like the mirror or something extremely valuable, or like the boots? Oh my god! If it was like the boots or something,
that would be I'm not sure which word I want to use. I mean, as a viewer, hilarious. As a runner, I would be sighing pretty loudly at that point.
This is also just one of those locations that no one ever wants to go check.
Yep.
Just a map.
Right.
A useless map. It looks like Vulajin's going to opt to go get a little bit more information, find out what is on that desert ledge. It's always useful to have that extra knowledge on the side for later.
Absolutely. Knowledge is really, really powerful in this game. You know, so long as you can get it conveniently. And just a big 20. Ooh,
There's the ice rod. Oh. So, as soon as they find Ether, they'd actually be able to finish all of Turtle Rock.
Yep.
Of course, you know, they'd have to skip out on Mimic Cave and the Vanilla Big Key location.
That Mimic Cave skip, I think, is the more punishing of the two. You know, I think.
Definitely. Well, I agree with that, yeah. Alright, so here's the thing. If you had the Mire, though, in this dungeon, you'd be able to, like, grab this key. Oh, there's Ether. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. So, like, Dark World Death Mountain had your answer to get into Mire.
Yeah.
And now Pod has your answer to get into T-Rock.
Yeah.
So... And there's the Vanilla Pod key.
All right.
So that brings his count up to 3, which... He's going to have to use one up here to get into the back section, which opens up a bunch of chests.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, he can't really afford to do the hammer jump and still finish this dungeon. Of course, he still needs to find another key to finish this dungeon, but his trip will probably end right at hammer jump because he has 2 fairies in a bottle and a lot of health, and no one really wants to go to the trouble of death warping and losing all those fairies.
Yeah, he's going to have to route it a little bit inconveniently, but... And Vulajin finally going to Zora and grabbing that sword. So
yeah, he's probably going to head up to Agate Tower at this point, which is going to keep him away from Pod for a little bit longer, unfortunately. But yeah. The routing choice makes perfect sense.
Definitely.
So yeah, right now Dunka opting to skip that Vanilla Big Key chest to go check the back here. Let's see what he does. I'm curious to see what else we're going to find in here. I'm still kind of expecting a Mire, but now a Mire could easily be in, like, T-Rock. But we have a Big Key for Eastern.
Ooh, wow.
But no Mire, so he'd have to go all the way back.
We've still got a few chests here, because it'll be interesting to see if he opts to open the... oh my gosh.
Alright. Pod, the answer, the play.
Yeah, big time.
That also means that now he can do the hammer jump and Mire back to the beginning of the dungeon, so he doesn't have to worry about death warps or anything like that, so...
Yep.
But he's just gonna go right for it. Nothing wrong with that.
So I think if it were me, I would have considered opening the Harmless Hellway door to the south there, walking down and around, bomb jumping, and then mirroring.
Yeah, I would have done that as opposed to opening up that key door, but, you know, we don't require... The logic doesn't require a hammer jump. Oh, wow, and that's a nice find, that
very
blue
nice.
mail. So Dunka gonna opt to leave. We still don't know if Pod is a pendant or crystal at this point, so...
Yep.
And it sucks to have to leave 2 chests behind, but that's a scary dungeon to be in when you don't have all your keys.
Absolutely.
But it looks like Vulajin making the play right behind BigDunka. Gonna be finding all that stuff as well. Let's see how he routes Pod, if he routes it a little bit differently. And Vulajin does have the benefit of not having fairies in a bottle, so he could death warp if he wanted to, but now that we know that there's a blue tunic in that big chest, that's not really an option any longer.
Yep. Hopefully he routes it so he gets that mirror approximately in the same point that that Dunka did, because that was pretty well before, the most important mirror out, if you're going to do that.
I also think right before the race started, Vulajin was doing some hammer jump practice, so...
Alright, well he's keen on doing it then.
Well, we're going to find out what Eastern Palace holds. We don't know if it's a pendant or a crystal, but... Yeah, we still don't know the other two pendant dungeons, I think. We haven't seen a map check in a while.
It's true.
And then again, we haven't really gotten any new maps in a while. I think most of the maps we've gotten have been dungeons we already completed or knew about.
Yep.
But, yeah, after that pod play, T-Rock is definitely looking like the next play.
Yeah, I mean, Pod basically finished out your T-Rock adventure kit, so...
Yeah, basically.
If you're one of the people who believes that the seed is telling you things, the seed is definitely not quietly saying Turtle Rock.
And the nice thing is, with that mirror, BigDunka will be able to go get not only the silver arrows in Death Mountain, but that also opens up that small key on the floating island, or on the Lake Hylia island.
Yeah.
So that could easily be our Swamp Palace small key to open up Swamp.
Yeah, Dunka dropping the quick kill. He was a little bit too far to the left of some of those Armos Knights and ended up getting bodied.
Yeah, only a minor time loss.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than going into that fight and realizing you don't have enough arrows. That's
Absolutely.
That's the worst. Alrighty. So, Crystal from Eastern Palace. So that's not a pendant dungeon. And BigDunka now gonna go check Sahasrahla. It is 5 rupees. And then let's see what his next play is. Vulajin, on the other hand, picking up that ice rod. And about to go pick up that ether medallion real quick.
A little frustration slash in Sahasrahla's direction. I don't blame. Is Vulajin gonna open up the vanilla big key chest, or is he? Nope, he's just routing back around.
Yeah, these guys are taking pretty much the exact same routes, so... Now, we do know that if you drop down there, you'll find a pod small key.
Yeah.
Oh, I also forgot that, Mire opens up desert now.
Yep.
We don't know if it's boots required or not, but we're about to find out. Oh, well, it's not open mode. Never mind. Well, whatever.
I mean, it could still be boots
it could still
for
be
the game,
something.
But not necessarily for the dungeon.
Yeah, not in the sense I was making.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
More
that
coffee.
Biggie's. Chugging as fast as I can. But Vulajin now going to get his mirror. Only a big 20. All right, so boots not required for Desert Palace. All right.
We do still have a few boots locked small keys out in the world, though, so... Okay, so Vulajin is going to take that Harmless Hellway route, go do his bomb jump now. Yeah, here he goes.
Ooh, big key 4, Thieves Town.
That is a nice big key to find.
That 100% unlocks all of Thieves Town at this point, which is our other Pyramid Fairy Crystal.
Yep.
And a Tempered Sword. Yeah, lately I've been seeing that those two desert items being 100% garbage, so it's nice to see it actually be something useful.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and we do get our first checkerboard cave check now.
Vulajin just needs to move down 1 pixel and he gets it. Nice
Very
hammer jump.
nice.
Picking up that blue mail. Doesn't have to worry about death warping because he has that mirror. There wasn't anything else of value in Dark Maze, but
Ooh.
another big key.
All right.
Is this the GT? It's... Oh,
Hey,
wow.
Okay.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Talk about your convenience. I mean, that's
Seriously.
Wow.
Weren't you just saying something about, Mire Shed, Checkerboard?
I'm telling you,
Having
that
this-
Mire area loves to unlock Mire area, so it's good stuff.
Now he gets to go back and check that big chest. So had he checked Checkerboard prior, he would have saved a little bit of time.
A little bit, but I don't blame him for the routing. I think that it's a small time loss with the mirror, though. It's really not. You know, he was gonna mirror and do those same walks, more or less identically.
Yeah, I'm sure his play was to checkerboard, then flute away if it's nothing of value. But then it ended up being desert, so opting to not pick up some more arrows. Getting the arrow capacity upgrade.
Speaking of more arrows.
Remember back in the day when arrow capacity upgrades also gave you more arrows?
I do remember
so, like,
that.
You would just... And also before they were split up into like multiple smaller amounts, you just instantly get 70 arrows at one point.
Yep.
Those were the days. Yeah, Vula needs to hop down and get that one small key.
Yep.
And I'm curious to see if he's going to opt to do the same thing that Dunka did and just hold on to that small key for later in hopes that Helma is required.
I think that's what I would do. I mean, at this point, you know, you're going to be leaving something behind regardless. With only one key there, you know, the game is conservative with keys and, you know, when it can be. And so it's not like they're pointing you directly, you know, to anything in particular. I guess Vulajin did actually check the entirety of the bag.
Yeah.
So he could grab that vanilla big key chest. But if he can figure out go mode before he uses that key, that's a nice thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice to have that spare key so you can go back and just go straight and kill Helma if it ends up being a crystal.
Yeah. It's a gamble. I think most players would save that key, but, you know, if you did find some... Oh, hey.
There's that key. So now, BigDunka will be comfortable enough. He can go back. He has 2 keys now, or does he have...
I think he should have 2 keys at this point.
He did... Yeah, he only has 2, but he still has both of those single chests to check because he did not do the hammer jump. He used his key to open up Dark Maze.
Right.
So...
Yeah, and again, you know, that's why Pod is such an interesting dungeon, and you know that hammer jump, and you know about routing to the right side to save a key. It can make the difference, you know, between having to hunt for a pod key for 20 minutes and not having to do anything.
Well, nice for BigDunka picking up that other crystal, but... And, well, yeah, Tempered Sword Thieves Town. I'm wondering if he's going to go opt to do Thieves Town next, as opposed to going to T-Rock.
Yeah.
It would make sense that there are still, you know, a good chunk of items he can get in Thieves, as well as the crystal, which opens up Pyramid Fairy, and seeing as he doesn't know what T-Rock requires, or if T-Rock is a crystal or pendant yet,
Absolutely.
This would be the safer play.
I forget, did BigDunka do Purple Chest, or was that Vulajin?
Vulajin did. It was the bug net.
So, I mean, going in, finishing up Thieves, and then taking your flute and your mirror now, routing it Purple Chest if you're ever going to do it is...
Yeah. The only thing that sucks now is it's like, alright, do I do Purple Chest? Do I go down into, like, Circle of Bushes, K45, or do I go up and do North Graveyard?
Yep.
Got some options. Yeah, we're going to finally see what's in the back half of Thieves Town. We've had that Thieves Town small key for quite a while now, so... But we'll be curious to see what Vulajin decides to do at this point. He has some options.
Yeah, I still think that the Turtle Rock play is pretty compelling, but, you know, Thieves is definitely quicker to get into, and quicker to clear. But there's so many chests in Turtle Rock waiting for these guys.
Yeah, at this point, though... Once BigDunka finishes up Thieves, he still needs to find... I'm looking at the item counts.
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
I mean, the last thing you need is just info about which dungeons are crystal and pendant.
Yeah, and a Swamp Palace small key.
Yeah.
Almost certainly.
Assuming it's a crystal. Yeah, we haven't seen a map check in a while, but at the same time, we haven't really gotten any useful maps. I think we've seen the Hyrule Castle and G-Tower maps, which are pretty lame.
And the Ice Palace map, which we already finished, so...
Yeah. But Vulajin opted to go up to Death Mountain, so this might be the T-Rock play, and there's another map. Oh, for
Great,
these.
another useless one.
Yeah, and still no Cape or Cainaburna, so the Spike Cave still isn't really in the logic. And as well, no big key or small key for Thieves Town, or Tower of Hera, so that's still completely done for now.
So at this point, we do have bottles, though. So I'd actually have to go back and double check whether that puts Spike Cave in the logic. There were changes there over time recently.
I thought it was Cape. You had to have two things. It was Cape or Cane, and Bottle or Half Magic. So it still requires one of each from those two sets.
I'll have to go double check.
Yeah, here's that T-Rock play. Let's see if Thieves Town has anything, though. But yeah, all we need really right now is info. And maybe if we get like a Castle Tower small key, that would potentially... But we still need the boots, so...
Yeah.
Those small keys might just be like Mire and Skull Woods or something.
The thing that we do have going for us is at the very least that Ganon's Tower Big Key is not on any of those overworlds. You get the devil, there's the cape. But at least we know that the Ganon's Tower Big Key is not sitting on any of those overworld locations, especially Lumberjacks. So
that is definitely an item we're still looking for. But I think we're set on like big key locations for now.
Yep.
Ooh, I think that's our last bottle. So we didn't... I think there was just a compass at Bumper Cave, so the cape doesn't unlock anything 100% yet, unless Spike Cave is holding something. Yeah. And fortunately for BigDunka, that's going to be his next play after this, unless he does, like, Purple Chest and whatnot.
Right.
So yeah, Thieves Town, not really anything other than a crystal and maybe this cape, but... You know, he's now at... Oh, there's a Tower of Hera small key and a Ganon's Tower small key. He does have a pretty significant crystal advantage at this point with Desert and Thieves Town now under his belt.
He, with the Thieves Town play, also now has the Pyramid Fairy available to him.
Mm-hmm. And we still haven't seen Pyramid, so he'll be able to route that in. I'm pretty sure we haven't seen Pyramid, right? I don't think we have, no.
No, I don't think anybody's been there.
So that's good. You know, that's a scary option to be, you know, hour 20-some minutes in and not having checked Pyramid, because that's, you know, such an easily accessible location, just inconvenient to route.
Yeah, especially when your early Dark World access is the hammer. You know, it's been in the logic for forever, you know, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And opting to go to the K45 rather than the graveyard mirror spots.
Yeah, we'll see if... Oh, another small key. Where's it to? It's another pod one, which is good for BigDunka since he didn't do the hammer jump.
Absolutely.
Assuming pod is a crystal. We don't know that yet. Yeah, we're still trying to find out if the last pendant is at T-Rock, Swamp, or Pod. And who knows, maybe depending on BigDunka's routing, he might opt to finish out Pod next or something.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that BigDunka is actually walking the chest around. If he had the book, is he intending to go check the first chest in Swamp?
That'd be a little surprising, to say the least.
But he doesn't, without the book to go check the tablet there, and he's walking back to that portal. He may be doing this to route to the pyramid, but I don't know. It's a little bit interesting. Yeah, that looks like the play here. I
guess, I mean... he's gonna go get the small key on Lake Hylia Island, so...
Alright. That's not a bad plan.
So much information.
Yeah.
It's one of the, like, interesting, but also can be, as a runner, very frustrating parts about Keysanity. Because, like, open standard, you always have that information right from the start.
Yep.
Of what's required, what Ew. Alright, well that's useless.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I think a swamp key there would have been very, very interesting from a decision-making standpoint, but...
Yeah, there should be that Pyramid Fairy play coming up.
I would expect so.
Okay, what do we got? Mimic Cave, just a heart piece.
Oh.
It's a convenient heart refill right there.
True. We do have those laser bridge chests coming up, though.
Yeah, and he doesn't have boots. He doesn't have a shield at all. Yeah, he doesn't have that cape from Thieves Town.
All right.
Nice spell.
Finding all the keys we don't need.
I mean, here's the thing. Swamp could be the other pendant, and then Pod and T-Rock are the two crystals.
It's entirely possible. We do have the keys at this point to go ahead and take care of Trinex, so... Oh, that's unfortunate. Getting knocked out by the roar.
Another heart piece. Alright, well, it looks like Vulajin's just gonna go for the whole, kill Trinex play, which... It's usually a safe gamble to make at this point in the race.
Yep.
But yeah, always something to worry about.
Oh, red mail.
They could have had a mail upgrade for so long.
Wow. That's, you're happy to see it, but at the same time, you're kind of like...
Yeah. We only had a couple, one or two unfortunate deaths at the beginning of the race, so it's not really that big of a deal.
No, it is not. Both of these players are very capable with the green mail, so... Oh my gosh. Those boots.
Okay, well that opens up the small key at Library, Bonk Rocks, King's Tomb.
Well, with the mirror here, I gotta imagine we're about to go kill Aga.
Well, he only has one small key. You need two small keys in order to kill Aga.
That's true. We're still one short.
Yeah, and then the third small key is off of the Archer.
Yeah.
Oh! There's the fourth sword on the laser bridge. Also, I don't want to jinx them, but these are some really crisp laser skips. And another big key for G-Tower.
The GT big key. All right.
All right, well, whether this is a pendant or a crystal, this is 100% required.
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah, these bootless laser skips have actually been really, really impressive. It is not at all.
Yeah, it takes a very specific timing. There you go, nice work. And another GT call. Well, that's fine. All right, well, BigDunka is making the play. I wonder if he's going to check any other chests while he's in here. He does actually have enough keys to check both chests and kill Helma, so...
Yeah.
The only problem is, in order to check that vanilla chest, he has to go through this bow section twice now.
Yep.
Which is a little unfortunate and a bit, time costly, but...
Well, at the very least, with the mirror, he can avoid too much of the shenanigans that sometimes comes along with this routing, but...
Yeah, now we are definitely at that point where we're just looking for info. We just need to find out where those crystals are.
Yep.
Because now that we have the GT big key...
The only risk is that Swamp Palace small key. If we find out that Swamp is a crystal, we're still very much short that.
Yeah. And that could be at Lumberjack, that could be the one that's on the library, or it could just be somewhere.
Could be
all right, moment of truth.
Entrance chest in Swamp.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's very true. We got Heart Container, so... And a crystal. All right. T-Rock is required. 100%. So... Well, this is good for Vulajin. But, at the same time, if Helmasar ends up holding a crystal, then BigDunka is going to be able to just go straight from T-Rock right into G-Tower. It's just like playing the normal rando.
Yep. Looks like Vulajin's going to be making his desert play. It'd be interesting to see if he goes and does...
Checkerboard first?
Yep.
Yeah. Alright, moment of truth. If we get a crystal from Helma, then BigDunka, all he has to do is just go do T-Rock.
And I think that has to be his next play. I mean, you know, worst case scenario, he might go check boots or something first, but... I actually kind of hope that he doesn't go check the library in that case, because if that's a Swamp Ball key, that could become tempting. Okay.
And crystal! There it is! Alright! Well, we have all of our information as commentators and viewers. So Swamp Palace is the last pendant, and we don't have a key for it, so we're not going to be seeing it today.
Yep.
But that's huge for BigDunka now, so he takes a tremendous lead over Vulajin, and we'll end up having a gold sword at the end of T-Rock, so...
Yep, no silvers with that gold sword. I mean, you know, not much is scary to you at that point.
Yeah, Vulajin still has to finish this, then go finish Thieves, then go back to Pod and finish Helma.
Yep. He's got a lot of work left to do, and this is going to work super nicely for Dunka right now. What is Dunka doing?
He's getting those silvers, probably.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Yeah, at this point, it's kind of safe to assume for him that, you know, we already know that Thieves Town, or Tower of Hera is a pendant, and we have 0 keys to do anything in Tower of Hera. It's the same thing for Swamp Palace. We don't have any. We have no way of doing. I mean, we can check the first chest, but nobody does that. That's silly.
Yeah, this has actually been
unless you're desperate,
generous in that regard.
Yeah.
So often you get those keys that, you know, you have too many choices, you know, and it's a question of which is the right one. Here, this is, you know, wrapped up really, really cleanly for these. There's not actually much of a choice, you know.
Oh, unfortunately, Vulajin skipping out on Checkerboard cave, missing that desert big key.
Oh no!
And opting to go to Thieves Town next instead.
Yeah.
And he'll probably end up going to like Pyramid Fairy before doing that. Well, yeah, we'll have to ask him what. Sometimes it's hard to tell if it's like a choice or a mistake. Like if you forget something. Like, you know, a lot of people will just route on the fly. They'll be like, no, it's just one chest. I have all of Thieves Town I can finish now.
Yeah.
That seems like a more optimum play. But at the same time, you know, you have the Mire, you have a Dark World portal right there. It would have been hard to go back into the Dark World and check Checkerboard. So I'd like to think that it was a mistake.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's always hard to know. You know, sometimes it's a gamble, you know, not so much of a, you know, sort of genius level decision. It's just, I don't want to do it, and I'll hope that it's not the thing, but...
Is BigDunka just skipping stuff in T-Rock? Despite not having the big key for GT? Or maybe he's assuming GT's going to have the big key.
The other option is, I mean, with the keys that he has, he might be thinking that he'll go check the front, you know, really quickly after doing Trinex.
I guess you aim for the more convenient thing. Like,
yeah,
you know, if I can get what I need from Trinex himself, might as well go straight there.
Right. I'm always reminded of, I don't know if you've seen the movie Spinal Tap, but there's, you know.
Oh, I sure have.
Yeah, you know, it's just such a fine line between genius and stupidity. Okay,
Now I'm concerned.
Yeah.
What's he planning here? Because he needs another key if he wants to beat this dungeon.
I mean...
Dunka, please! What are you doing?
Yeah,
That feeling when you're in such go mode that...
Yeah.
You're not in go mode.
This may be a situation where he miscounted, and thinks he has one more key than he actually does. Or thinks there's one less key door than there actually is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at the same time, he doesn't know if this is a pendant or crystal, so...
It's true.
but his choices in here to skip stuff is really weird.
Yeah, I mean, skipping the vanilla big key chest, absolutely. But not grabbing that key is...
Also, worth noting in Mimic Cave, you can direct those mimics by... If you grab onto the railing right there, without any sort of directional input,
yep.
then you can start using the D-pad, and you can make them just walk right up to you. You saw him struggling with that, trying to force them over there so he can hit him with his sword.
Yep, the same method often gets used by people in the mimics room in GT.
All right, we'll be interested to see what Vula does after this. He still doesn't really have that many options, so unless he goes right back to Pod, or does Pyramid Fairy next, which is very likely.
And the thing I'm concerned about is what BigDunka does after he gets through Laser Bridge here. You know, I hope he knows that he skipped that key and could totally do this and thinks to just jump back in. Because if he goes off hunting, I think he just realized.
Yeah. Well, convenient for him. He'll be able to go check that or get that Poke Key and then immediately mirror again.
Yeah.
From right back there, so he doesn't have to like deal with these guys a second time.
Yeah. Still, though, that's got to be a little facepalm moment for him.
Oh, it's no different than, you know, going to the back section of Skull Woods and realizing you didn't grab that small key in the earlier section, so you run into the door and you're like, all right, I need that small key.
Or going to the back section of Skull Woods and realizing you need
that's cute.
Oh, that's cute. And remembering he can mirror, which is good.
Alright, so Vulajin making the Pyramid Fairy play.
Yeah, BigDunka back on track to go right through this and get what he needs.
Here's a quick little recap for you guys. Vulajin needs to go back to Checkerboard Cave, which is where the Desert Palace big key is, and he needs that in order to beat Desert Palace to get a crystal. Then he needs to go back and kill Helmassar to get his last crystal to get him into G-Tower. BigDunka just has to finish this dungeon and get the big key for GT on the Laser Bridge.
Yep.
Which, it's going to be interesting if he checks Laser Bridge at this point, seeing as he skipped stuff in the beginning.
I mean, I think he's got to. You know, my hope for him is that he knows he can go back and get the front, you know, right after this and do it quickly and mirror out. So.
Yeah. Still, I've never seen that before, so interesting.
Yeah. I guess it depends. You know, I mean, technically, with the items that he has, the boots and everything, routing, little frustration slashes, routing Laser Bridge is actually a bit faster than waiting for the platform to roll around on the right side. So, you know, I can understand the logic behind it. The question is whether that's actually the logic that was used.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him during the interview, hopefully. Yeah, prob for Vulajin now. Picking up those boots, he's probably thinking about, you know, checking all the boots locations now, which might take him away from Checkerboard. So right now he's going to go check Catfish, which is another thing we haven't seen yet. But, yeah. That's unfortunate, missing Checkerboard Cave, since he was in the Mire area.
I mean, the interesting thing is BigDunka, you know, with going into Desert first, could very easily have been a mistake. You know, but he didn't, so. And a nice, quick Trinex fight with that Butter Sword.
Alrighty, and that's it. That's the last key or crystal for BigDunka. He doesn't know that yet, but at this point, without having that Swamp Palace small key, he's got to assume that this has to be the only option. So, and that'll be his last crystal, and he'll be heading right into G-Tower, and he can just go straight up. Fortunately, finding 2 GT small keys. In fact, you only need 1 small key going up G-Tower because you can always get one off the mini Helma.
Yeah,
but
and with the Butter Sword, nothing is scary up here. He's gonna be in good shape.
And the nice thing is just, you know, for a Keysanity, this is going to be a good time.
Absolutely. I mean,
finish out around, like, you know, 146, 140. How long does it generally take to go up the gauntlet? You
know, it depends on the player, but I mean, I think we can expect to see a pretty easy sub 150 here, barring, you know, a fall at Ganon or something.
Yeah, that G-Star Big Key was extremely convenient, having it be in the last dungeon for BigDunka.
Yeah, I mean, BigDunka definitely, things just lined up for him in the back third of this race for sure.
I mean, the thing is, had Vulajin gotten that checkerboard Big Key for DP, he would have been able to just go mode the rest of Thieves Town. Because BigDunka is like full cleared everything except for that interesting choice of skipping chest into your rock. But yeah, gold sword, silvers, red tunic, plenty of health, plenty of magic, safety fairies. Should be good to go.
Absolutely.
But we will see on Vulajin's side all the boots locations. It's just unfortunate that, you know, sometimes... Oh, no. No, Vula.
Yeah.
Swamp Palace, small key. Oh, God.
That's so Lord needs... Okay.
That's the downside of getting, like, book boots. These late game items, and all of a sudden, they just kind of send you on a wild goose chase.
Oh, and he's going to go check the library here. He's unfortunately picking up options right now, and options are the last thing that he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, no. So, oh my gosh. All right, so you had to actually get the boots to get that key to go do Aga Tower to get the Lumberjack key.
Yep.
But at this point...
Uh-oh.
I'm actually really curious to see what that Lumberjack key is.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, this is looking grim. This is looking like a swamp play.
Yeah.
And a full clear swamp is not ideal.
No.
So at this point, he's had to have forgotten Checkerboard. Maybe it was like a muscle memory thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I always check Checkerboard before going into Desert, but this time he didn't. Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, regardless of the play that he's making right now, with the lead that BigDunka had, you know, as of, 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, it's probably not going to change the outcome of the race regardless, but it's just unfortunate for Vulajin that he, got tricked. Or he tricked himself, so...
I mean, at the same time, he might think this is a crystal, so...
and if you're worried about what you're missing, I mean, there's a lot of chests. Not a bad play, but when you've got Turtle Rock, available to you, I don't know.
I guess it's also kind of curious where the other Palace of Darkness small keys are at this point.
Well, how many are we actually missing from our perspective at this point? At most one, right?
Oh, yeah. Dunka already has 5. All right. Because there was one at Landmola. I know that.
Yeah.
And then I think maybe Cave 40 Circle of Bushes, I think was one. Could be wrong.
Sounds familiar, but I'm not 100% positive.
Wow, I blink and all of a sudden BigDunka is just heading into Moldorn 2.
Yeah.
Just like that.
That Buttersword gauntlet is Buttersword and Red Mail, it's nice. You can just kind of tank your way through there, but
yeah, and half magic. Yeah, so if you want, you can just fire rod everything.
Yeah, GT is never quite free. You can always get, trolled a little bit on the way up, but
and I feel like after Vulajin sees the dot done, he's probably going to realize that Swamp Palace is probably not required.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Keysanity for you, though.
Yep.
Because who knows, in a different See, this could have been the right play. And oh, finding that stupid mushroom in swamp.
Oh, good lord.
That's disgusting.
Show me a shovel on left side soon.
Decent Agatsu fight for BigDunka. I believe that was a 4 cycle. And he'll be heading into the Ganon fight with, Gold Sword. So it's only going to be 6 slashes for the first 2 phases, then the scripted 4, and then just 4 silver arrows. So,
yep.
Quick fight. He'll be done 2 minutes, so like 147 or something like that. Less than that, maybe. Depends on how many warps we get. We could get like a 30 warp Ganon phase 3.
I had one of those recently, and it's one of those things where you're kind of wondering, then it gets frustrating, and then you're just laughing. As he does 10 warps per cycle or some nonsense like that.
It's so much worse when you're on Master Sword as well, because you're like...
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're like charging your sword and making sure you get to him in time so he doesn't throw out the circle of bats. Yeah, nice use of iframes with the hook shot to dodge some bats. And then getting hit by a few more, but at the same time, red tunic, and then the right on.
You can afford to just kind of tank it. The bigger risk with red tunic is just getting knocked off. It's the damage is not so concerning.
Let there be warps. Keep going. Do like, oh, that was enough. Oh, we got a shield. We got our first shield in Swamp Palace.
There you go.
Sure did. Thank you, Ganon. Alright, that's 1. Getting the torch glitch.
Last minute torch glitch with the lamp. That was actually,
yeah. A little far away, though, so he wasn't able to get another easy arrow.
Yeah.
Oh God, no. It's only funny because it's very insignificant at this point.
Yeah,
but
it's not going to change anything, really, but...
It's very funny, though.
For him, he's now really worried about getting sniped in the middle of this refight here.
And that wasn't even him, getting greedy. It really was just him using the lamp. And the timing of it just didn't work out, because he was all set up to hit him again to get the 3rd arrow.
Yeah. Oh, he only has 2 arrows right now.
Oh, no!
So...
Well, we're gonna see some silverless, so that's even worse, actually.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, it does stack the damage with the arrows, so... He does get to save half the spin, as long as he doesn't miss any.
Oh, and there's the red pendant for Vulajin and a small key for T-Rock. But let's see if he remembers that checkerboard next.
Yep.
It looks like he's gonna go check that small key on Lake Hylia. Alright, BigDunka 1 hit away into phase 4. Let's see some of these silverless. Well, now he really needs to get that torch glitch.
Yeah, now it actually matters.
Yeah, once again, using the lamp, not being able to get that second hit in quicker, but pretty insignificant at this point.
Yeah.
Alright.
And it looks like we're gonna switch into silverless now. Oh, did he get 2 hits off, I guess? Ooh, wow.
He's got fairies, so it's fine. Yeah, he got 2 silvers in.
Okay.
So, and silvers do what? Like the equivalent of what? Like 4 slashes? 4 silverless hits?
3, right? Because it's silver.
Oh, because it's 4 silvers to equal 12. Gotcha.
Right.
Or
apparently
a lot
okay.
Damage values. Hello. What?
In case you guys haven't realized yet, Willard and I, we know a lot about the game, so we've got this unlocked. But
yeah,
GG
we know exactly what we're talking about.
Who has finished in first place with an official SRL time of 1:49.04. Still getting that sub 150 even with the fall at Ganon. And for Keysanity, you know, that's a very solid time. Sub 2, you can generally feel good about.
All right, well, we'll see if he's interested in coming and chit-chat about this race as Vulajin is heading back to go kill Helma.
Absolutely.
Still hasn't made that trip back to Checkerboard. It's one of those, like, unfortunate things that the big key for Desert was right next to Desert. You kind of almost want to treat it like, oh, but the bow was in Eastern Palace, darn it, kind of thing.
Right. And
it's almost kind of in the same vein.
Definitely. And it looks like BigDunka is ready, so let's bring him in here. Hello there, GG.
Oh, GG's. Oh my god, that Ganon fall.
It's okay. It was pretty funny, but also relatively insignificant in the situation.
So, I noticed going into Aghanim, I only had 4 arrows. So I'm like, don't screw up.
Yeah.
And then you screwed up. But that's okay. Yeah. How'd you feel about the seed overall?
I mean, it was okay to start, but there was that huge lull from like the 30-minute mark to like the 60-minute mark where things just came to a crashing halt.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously pod is always the play, and I let off. I just can't seem to kick the habit of not going to pod. And then when I saw the Mire there and the bow there, I think bow was there, right? No, bow was on Mire.
Yeah.
But as soon as I saw the Mire there, and there's something else there, I can't remember what it was. Ether.
Yeah, it was interesting because it was like go to Dark Death Mountain to get access to Mire, and then go to Mire to get the bow, and then use the bow to skip that locked door so you could pretty much full clear pod. But it was interesting. Both players decided to leave House of Darkness with a spare key and not finish off Helma. Vulajin's right at Helma right now.
The soft lock is terrifying.
I completely understand. We still never found that 6th pod key. We saw it. I think you collected a total of 5, maybe?
I got 5. There's one at Bumper Cave, and there's also one in the library.
I think chat had said earlier they thought maybe the last one had been gotten in King's Tomb on Vulajin's side.
I know Landmola had one.
Yeah, I mean, I know I killed Landmower. I know there were 2 actives that were still out there, and I almost went and got both of them before even going up to Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock was okay. Here's the thing: when I saw the Mire, I was scared to death because that Mire means, I could be way behind on this depending on how he routes this, and I basically decided, you know what? I don't know 3 of these dungeons yet. There was Swamp, Pod, and Turtle Rock. I'm just going to take the gamble that that Swamp is not, a crystal. And then I made the beeline up to Turtle Rock, and I wasn't expecting to find the T-Rock key or the GT key. Mm-hmm. I went up there just to check to see if it was a crystal, and then I was going to chance, Ganon's tower, but I also wanted to check all the back end chests.
Yeah, it was. We were curious about your routing because you skipped the first section of chests.
Well,
just to opt to go to the bag.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna go. I was probably not gonna go back in there if the GT key wasn't there. Mm-hmm. If it was the crystal, I was gonna head straight to GT because lately the key is in GT. So I was pleasantly surprised when I cleaned out the back end and then found it on Laser Bridge.
Now, when you skipped the pokey key on the left side of the dungeon, was that intentional?
No, it was not.
Okay.
I've never done that route before and just skip the front end and then just gone straight toward the big chest, and I kind of forgot to grab that key when I noticed I was out of keys going towards the bridge.
So you just had it in your mind. You're just like, I'm going to the back. I'm running to the back. Gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we found out what T-Rock was because Vulajin was there before you were, because you were doing Desert Thieves Town while he was in there. So we got that G-Tower big key location and that last crystal. Well, we didn't know what the last crystal was until you went back and finished Helma. Yeah. Vulajin had a chance because he put off Eastern for a very long time, and he went back to do Eastern, but then we were curious if he was going to opt to go do Pod, but instead he went and did Ice Palace, and so that could have been a huge swing. But overall, I think I don't know if it was just routing or execution, but you ended up being a few crystals behind or ahead of him for a while, and then we have reason to believe that he has forgotten that Checkerboard Cave hasn't been checked. So he checked all the boots locations, and unfortunately, Bonk Rocks gave him the Swamp Palace small key, so he went and full cleared all of Swamp, and now he's doing Spike Cave. And funny enough, the small key on the library was the other Castle Tower key.
Yeah.
Oh, and the big key for Hera is in Spike Cave. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, geez. That's
he just
horrible.
keeps getting options, so it's, yeah.
But that's Keysanity. So I'm curious to see if he's going to go do that next. He's going to quake the chest first, which I think is 100% reasonable.
Absolutely.
But yeah, overall it was a good seed. There was that very slow period because you full clear all of Ice Palace and find nothing, which is
unexpected at that point.
Very much. And then fortunately your opponent did the exact same thing later, so you didn't end up losing much time out of that overall. Vulajin also late to get into hookshot, but more importantly, he died on his way to Zora, so he missed the Master Sword for a very long time. But yeah, fortunately for him, the Aga Tower items weren't anything of value, so not having Master Sword didn't really matter because he did have Fire Rod going into Ice Palace, so he made up some time there. But yeah, overall, good race. GG's, and look forward to seeing you in the next one, sitting at 1-0.
Yeah, still got a safety net. Don't want to use it, though.
There you go.
So, no, thank you very much, and appreciate it again. As always, everybody pitches in to make this possible. It's fantastic.
Yeah. You got a good team going.
Yeah, while we're on that subject, definitely give our runners if you've been enjoying what you've seen. They are both really great runners, and it's always good to show your support and check out more cool stuff from them. Yeah.
And of course, this is a 5-round Swiss stage, so you'll be seeing at least definitely 4 more races from both these players for the rest of this tournament. And then, so it's like 5 rounds, and then we move into top 8, where only the people that go undefeated, and then some crazy tiebreaker race for the last person. BigDunka, any particular goals that you have for this tournament?
Not getting stuck in that 4-1 tiebreaker race.
Yeah.
So you want to go 3-2, is what you're saying?
No. But you want to talk about stressful? I mean, it's gonna be like 15, 20 people fighting for one spot, most likely. So that sounds horrible.
That sounds.
I mean, I'll do it if I have to. But
imagine as after the first person finishes, there's just a wall of forfeits.
Oh, everybody will forfeit. Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I gotta take a shower. I'm sweaty as hell. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. No problem. Dude.
The heart was racing after getting that mirror.
Oh, for sure. GG again. Take care, buddy.
I appreciate it, guys.
Alrighty. So after Vulajin finishes off Moldorm, we'll probably see a pedestal check because at this point he doesn't really have any other options. And we'll also be able to find out if this was a I forgot checkerboard or I'm gambling scenario.
Yeah,
but at this point, with BigDunka's finish, he's got to be thinking it wasn't an obvious location.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely appears to want to finish it out there, which I commend him for. So pretty soon, though, he'll be down to only one option, and if he doesn't remember it, it'll be interesting to see what happens here.
I think he's got to be showing this off just for fun, though, because based on that time, like, he has to know that it wasn't pedestal required, because 149 in a pet seed Keysanity was
pretty
swamp.
Tough. Pretty tough. Yeah.
Especially for how late like the Thieves Town big key was to go check Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah. And we do know the chat loves pedestal pulls. You know, the runners don't like them so much, but it can be entertaining. All right. I think we saw from the credits on Dunka's side what was.
Yeah, it was Kana Burna.
Yeah, we're memeing now. We've got the Bombo strats on the pedestal. Oh, are we gonna go all 3 medallions? This is impressive, actually.
Yeah, it's not like we have, you know, stuff to do in our lives right now.
No.
No. Burna, now you can go back to Spike Cave. All right, Vula. What is it? What's it gonna be, dude?
Okay. Well, wait, we're not done yet. We gotta drop a bomb.
He's got to be thinking he missed something.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's hovering over the right item here, but
because he's checked literally everything else. He's been to Catfish.
Yep.
The only thing he has left to do is get that small key from Lumberjack, but that's not going to get him anything. Oh, he's going back into Pod to go check that last chest.
Yep.
Which, fortunately for all of us here, is not something that was required, because I could see a riot started because of Pod and how broken it is. Because it's like, oh, cool, I lost a 50-50 because I didn't check one chest. Because he did check one of the small key chests.
Yeah.
Got a big 20, so...
I'm looking for a shovel here.
Oh wait, has he checked the mushroom yet? I'm assuming.
That's a good question. I'm not sure if we actually saw that from him. It would have been great to do it on his way to Catfish, but I don't know if he had the mirror point. He probably did.
Oh, is there still time to join the weekly? I'll just commentate and race at the same time. No big deal.
Yeah. Can we do that? That seems great.
Oh, it's up to 81 people.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd rather go eat. Well, at least we'll get some more information about what's in Pod.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those frustrating aspects about Keysanity. Because let's say he didn't forget about it, and just this was his routing choices.
No, wait, I thought Vulajin, because he did the bomb, I thought he did get the Harmless Hellway check.
He did, but he didn't get the other one. But he only has one key, so he has to go all the way around to get to it.
Oh, I see what he's... Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Maybe we'll get that shovel.
I mean, at this point, you know, if he's gonna full clear, I say let's...
I feel like we're still missing a couple small keys as well.
Well, I mean, we know there's one in Lumberjacks, so... And now I wonder if he's wondering about that Lumberjack. You know, the interesting thing is that the Aga thing would not have been... You know, Aga is not that long to do. You know, his opponent could have done it.
Yeah. But since he already has all the small keys he could possibly need, this might be the only thing he has left to do is to go back to T-Rock and check that one chest, I think. Or,
like
he hasn't turned into mushroom.
Yeah.
But that can't possibly be anything since it was in Swamp.
Yep.
What do we have today? It is arrows.
Just arrow capacity. He's clearly the checkerboard case forgotten. Seeing lots of thinking pauses here.
So this might be a trip. If he doesn't go to desert, he still does have that vanilla big key location in T-Rock to check.
Yep. This is curious.
This might be K45.
Could be. He did left side swamp as well, right? He full cleared the dungeon.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. He is going to get a pod key here, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. What locations does he actually have? Is this the last location that he has available to him?
This and the one chest in the vanilla big key location in T-Rock.
Right.
Which he has enough keys for now if you want to go back and do that.
Yep. Where are you going? Oh, okay.
That looks like it's going to be the play.
Yep.
And if we don't get that, we might see a dot forfeit from our good boy Vulajin.
Yeah.
And then we'd be able to confirm that this was just a user error.
Absolutely.
And can't blame him. There's a lot of stuff to remember in this game, especially with the way Keysanity is. Absolutely. Or just in general, because like you never know. It's a lot of muscle memory. You know, you go into a location. And then, like, for him, he went into the Mire area twice now. Both times first time having the mirror, or not having the mirror, second time having the mirror. So he might have just got in his mind that one of those 2 times he already checked Checkerboard.
I think it happens to the best of us, you know. I mean, even, you know, guys like Christos, you know, will go somewhere assuming they've done something or that they have a certain item because you're so used to having it, you know, and it's so easy, so easy to get it twisted in your head.
Which also explains, you know, is why a lot of players still, or at least a lot of players that start out, use like a map tracker or something so that they can check off locations that they've been to.
Absolutely.
But it happens to all of us. I had a seed once where I did the route like they did in this race, you know, East Death Mountain all the way up to Hera. And then normally after Hera, you go straight to Spiral Cave. Well, I didn't have the mirror in Hera, so I just saved and quit. Right. And then forever thought that I had already checked Spiral Cave. And then guess what was there? The Titanids. So happens all the time.
Yeah, I started using location. Not because I don't know the locations. Forget. And so for me, it's really backup, especially in tournament races. Like that's the one place where I never want to lose because I forgot something, you know. And it's so easy to do.
Yeah, I mean that's how I got knocked out of the open tourney. I forgot about that shovel I found in pod, and that of course led to the Canis of Mario. So.
Yep. Oh, hey, here we go. All right, and with that, what are we going to do? We're going to think.
Or I'll never forget, I think it was during one of the weeklies or something, I still have a clip of it. I went into, like, Thieves' hideout, or Blind's basement or whatever.
Yeah.
Bombed open the wall, got the 4 chests, and then just beelined out of there.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, that ended up being the Moon Pearl.
Oh, fantastic.
But I still got 26th, so I'll take it.
I remember my very first weekly ever. I was very new to the game and completely forgot the tea room and Ice Palace and proceeded to recheck the entire world. And I remember ACM was doing his weekly restream, was commenting that Emo was going to recheck the entire world before going back to Ice, and he was not wrong.
Yeah. No, it happens. And that's the worst thing, is when you start double checking all the stuff that you missed. And at least, you know, after doing all that, you still end up like realizing what you missed, and then you go back and finish it, because, you know, you missed something and then you forfeit, then you're like, well, that's it. I'm mad. But if you find it, go back and finish the game, at least you have that satisfaction of knowing that you still finished.
And I think the important thing, you know, with Randomizer, I don't want to say every seed, but almost every seed, almost every mistake is an opportunity to learn, you know, and you mess up something like that, and the good things that's burned into your brain, you know, and we can probably expect Vulajin to be thinking a lot about Checkerboard Cave after this race.
It's one of those things, it's like, well, you'll never make that mistake again.
Yep.
Hopefully.
All right. Okay, we're gonna go do something. Let's see if he can make that connection. Interesting.
Maybe he skipped the left side?
Maybe. Because he didn't have the big key, so we're definitely not getting a big chest check.
Yeah. He did set up the left side. It'd be weird to set that up and then not check it.
Yeah.
Some choice words from Vula in IRC.
I can't blame him.
Nah. It's super frustrating.
I think the unfortunate thing is obviously we can't tell him, you know, this is one of those things where you wanna feel a certain way about the seed, but you know, it's gonna be I feel pretty bad for anybody when you know, it's a hard thing when you forget a vocation like this.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been there, and it can be very, very, very frustrating. So yeah, he definitely opened this up.
Oh
no, he did not get the chests. So
okay. Well, still find that shovel, I guess.
We're looking for it.
And that red boomerang.
No, well, you know, that's the real last item in the game. Oh, we could actually get the book here.
Oh, please no.
Or we could get the book in the dig spot.
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe the book would lead him to Bombos, which might remind him of Checkerboard Cave.
I mean, that would be kind of nice, actually, if that worked out. But
I can't imagine anything else sending him that direction anyway.
No. I mean, short of just, you know, every once in a while you have that, you know, that mental spark, right? Where, you know, you suddenly realize, but without a little nudge, that can be difficult. But if it's not here, that stuff is in GT. Nope. All right, more careful inventory inspection here. Lots of consideration. Oh, here we go.
This might be it. Well, I can't imagine it being anything else. So this has to be it.
I mean, yeah. I don't think there's anything that he left in Mire. He's done what he can in Desert. Yep, here we go. And I can imagine what's going through Vulajin's mind right now, and I've been there, so yeah.
It's so frustrating because it's literally right here.
Yeah. And but seriously, props to Vulajin for finishing this out. You know, when you get to this point and this tilted, you know, it's not always an easy thing to do, to keep going.
Yeah.
And you know, I commend people for finishing it out.
Mm-hmm. And at the same time, just, you know, you've already lost the race, but you're in go mode, you're ready to go, so it's kind of cathartic to just go ahead and finish it out, just play it casually, you know, still do the best as you can. So I'm sure he still wants to come in here and have a little chit chat with all of us.
Absolutely.
And we still have a little bit of time before we got to sign off here. The next race is at the top of the hour, which is going to be a four-person race. Lord of the Synth versus Epic Ranger, and Sinek versus Kirito 8. So, and I've seen all four of these players. I know Synth was in the secondary tournament last year, and then the other three I've seen in daily races here on the Speed Gaming Network. So, should be a good match.
Yeah. All right, and with that, Vulajin has gotten his last critical, and he is ready to go run his way up Ganon's.
Yeah, it's still, at least it wasn't like a, you know, full clear G Tower basement looking for big key like seed.
Absolutely.
Those are frustrating.
Well, or worse, the, you know, full clear looking for it and then not find it, but find the shovel in Towel Room book.
Oh.
And, you know, and you're just groaning the whole time.
Mm-hmm. I thought Vulajin was about to do some overworld glitches or something. Because he ran past the ladder and he got the hookshot out. I'm like, don't you do it.
You know, if I was him, right. I would have, you know, strongly considered doing the dot forfeit and then doing it. Because then it's not a DQ.
Yeah, that'd be some BM right there, though.
Yeah.
To go this far and then forfeit. Like, at this point, just finish it out.
Yeah.
Which looks like what he's going to do, so. Who knows? Maybe he'll have a better Ganon fight than his opponent.
Definitely, if he can avoid that fall, you know, that will be good.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll see players not even opt to go for the torch glitch if they have silvers, especially if you have Fire Rod, because, you know,
and half magic. You know, I mean, I think at that point, you know, you're not concerned about just Fire Rodding the heck out of him.
There we go. 3 times the charm.
Yep.
Yeah, because you'll see players go, you know, they'll light the torches in a way to try and set up a double or even possibly a triple on Ganon.
Yeah.
For that last phase.
I think what's great is when you can catch him, depending on, you know, where he was spawning or warping, when you can catch him on that initial transition, kind of in the middle of the stage, a little bit away from the edges, you've got a really nice opportunity to get at least a double on him, and that can put you well ahead.
All right, and he also has 24 arrows, so plenty of weaponry to work with to get through this gauntlet. And a lot of times players will either just use silvers throughout, they might swap to the regular arrows, or with half magic they might just opt to use the fire rod because it moves quickly across the screen.
Yeah.
And it's an instant kill for, well, it's an instant kill for all of them, but even more instant for like the Stalfos because they immediately die. You don't have to sit through that fire animation. Depending
on the RNG, you get in those. If you can get the knights really quick, they'll die by the time you walk down to the door. But
yeah, that's the crazy thing about the seed is despite all that, this is still a good average, a good finish time for Vulajin.
Oh, absolutely.
Or just for a Keysanity in general. 2 hours, sub 2 hours is like good in general.
Yeah.
Between 2 and 2.5 hours, I'd say, is about the general range.
Yeah.
For mid-tier.
Yeah, this is going to be a very, average finish. And, given the, the amount of extra stuff that he did due to forgetting that one location, not a bad time, considering, what he did.
He's still going to finish sub 2.5, so.
For anybody who has played, open randomizer, tried Keysanity, it's definitely worth giving a try. It's a real test of your comfort level with the logic in the game and reason what you can do and what's required to accomplish the dungeons.
Mm-hmm. The big difference, as at least for like a mentality thing, for me when it comes to open standard versus Keysanity, is open standard is all about how many dungeons I can go mode.
Yeah.
Keysanity is all about how many dungeons I can finish without having to double dip.
Exactly.
And so like in this case, we had double dips of Eastern, Pod might have been I think it was a quadruple dip for Vulajin.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't strictly necessary, but if you were concerned about clearing it, then yeah.
I don't even know. I guess technically they could have finished Pod the first time they were there. Oh, just shy of getting through the door.
That's always a bummer. This room, the movement, it's not a complicated room. Movement in here with all the tight walkways is definitely, it can be a little bit finicky, and especially when you're a little bit tilted, it's real easy to fall down or just lag yourself a bit by hanging off the edges.
Yeah. This was also an interesting seed because they easily could have go-moded Ice Palace. I think that was the only dungeon that they could have just straight go-moded.
Yeah.
Because there was 0 value in there other than the crystal.
And it's a good one. It's a good one to go-mode, but at the definitely not a bad one at all.
Just making a lap around.
Yeah.
Why not?
Wink needs exercise. And
two slashes.
Yeah. That butter sword.
It's very nice. I do want to make a comment about his Landmola 2 fight. He did get 2 kills with the silvers in the first cycle, and then missed the second cycle because he was going for silvers. At that point, when you're just down to 1,
and
you're not getting a short hop, just go for 2 slashes because it's also 2 slashes with the butter sword, or 2 spins to kill the Landmolas.
Yeah.
That's a nice setup.
Props to Vulajin for opting to skip the Moldorm 2 chest. I support this.
Well, he has no use for it, so there's really no point in opening it unless you're like looking for, like, let's say he had like 1 heart left and he was hoping to get like a heart piece or a sank heart or something. That'd be about it. He already has 4 bottles, silvers, red tunic, and gold sword. So,
and most importantly, the bug net and the. So he is well equipped for this Ganon fight.
No doubt. He's got all he needs. Yeah, shout outs to both these runners for putting on such a fantastic show. That was a really good run. Just that unfortunate ending. This could have been a lot closer of a race.
Absolutely. I think, you know, I mean, Vulajin played well the whole. It's just one of those things that happen sometimes, you know, and clearly a very competent runner.
Yeah. It would have been curious to see, or interesting to see how close it would have been had he not made that mistake.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen it, because I would have liked to have known, you know, how much that sword really hurt him. Unfortunately, you know, that's kind of lost in the shuffle here. And
had he not missed the desert key, he would have made up a little bit of time, not having to check extra chests in Thieves Town. But of course, with BigDunka's skipping of the first couple chests in T-Rock, he was able to save a little bit of time, which logically makes sense when you're only looking for one more item and you're like just kind of rushing the crystal.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I you know, the more I think about it, the you know, I think that's a pretty decent play when you've got the keys that he had.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he could have, you know, the chance of checking those chests at the beginning and finding the G-Tower big key there, and then he could have skipped Mimic Cave, Laser Bridge, and all that stuff. That's the only contrary logic I could see.
It's entirely possible, although, you know, I mean, if you're playing the I think it's still a fair choice, you know, and a lot of people will, you know, mirror out of that right side, you know, Fire Rod room in Turtle Rock. And if you do that, it's just really one extra screen transition, the way that he did it, so.
True. Alrighty, well, that is the pig down for Vulajin, and once he walks through that door, he will be our second place finisher in this two-person race.
Hey, alright.
A little bit with.
Give us that moonwalk.
Okay, I'll wait. I'm willing to wait. This is definitely worth waiting for. There you go.
Right, there we go.
Fishing with a time of 2:26.46. Congratulations to both these runners. GG. And we'll see if Vulajin wants to come in and rant a little bit. Yeah, of course, make sure, you know, if you guys enjoy watching these two, check them out on Twitch, see exactly what, you know, what they got in store for their streams, and if they suit your needs, give them a follow there. I know Vulajin is a Ori in the Blind Forest runner as well, and we saw him do commentary at AGDQ 2018 for that big race, which I still need to go back and watch, but I need to play that game first.
Yeah, that game is so pretty. It's been on my list for a while.
There's just so many good games out right now. Yeah, we got a little bit of time. We can talk to Vula for a second. Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Still waiting. There he is.
Hello,
Vulajin.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
We can hear your game through your mic.
That's because I was playing off my TV with headset off.
Don't do it. Yeah. Sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any positive words to say. Well, okay, I have like a couple. I'm really happy about being able to do Mire and Stolwoods pretty early, although Stolwoods turned out to be completely unnecessary. It was cool, because I'm generally not that great at those fights.
Oh yeah, both the fights were.
Everything else was dark.
Both the fights were really good.
Very clean.
So I'm assuming it was some sort of muscle memory error skipping Checkerboard Cave.
Yeah, normally, I don't know. I feel really scatterbrained today. Like, every time I was like, okay, I'm going to do, like, I made a conscious decision, like, I'm going to do this in this particular order, and then just did not remember that I was going to do that. When I went to Eastern Palace, for the first time, I think that was after Skull, so I turned in Green Pendant, did the front of Eastern, and then my next plan was to go do Pod, which had literally everything.
Yeah, we were kind of hoping you were going to make that play, and then we saw you save and quit out, and we're like, no. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I was planning to save and quit out, and then I was gonna go back there, and just my brain turned off, and I completely forgot that was my plan.
I think you went to Ice next instead.
Oh yeah, that was a great play. I mean,
we were talking about, because it's like, all right, you have this Palace of Darkness, which you only have 2 keys for, and generally the game requires 6, so they're probably going to go in there and not be able to complete it. Versus Ice Palace, which based on all the items you had, you could full clear.
Yeah.
So logistically, it made sense. We had already seen BigDunka do it, so we were like, oh man, if Vulajin goes to Pod, you know, he could take a pretty big lead if there ends up being stuff there, because there was nothing in Ice Palace.
Yeah.
And then we saw you go the Eastern route, and we're like, all right, maybe he'll go to Pod right after that. And then we saw you flew to Ice, and we're like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the same thing with Checkerboard Cave. It's just like I mirrored to do the front of Desert. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do Checkerboard Cave afterwards, and then just did not. Same with Back of Swamp, where I never ever, like, it is not at all normal for me to put off the left side of Swamp. I almost always just do it on the first go. Again, like, it didn't bite me this time, except I ended up having to check it because I forgot literally every location. Like,
yeah, it was unfortunate because, like, you know, BigDunka got the boots, but didn't act on any of the boots locations. So he never got that small key to Swamp, so he never made that dive. And, you know, you got to be thinking, when you see your opponent finish, you're like, well, there's no way this is a pedestal seed. There's no way Swamp could be required. But at the same time, you still didn't know that Swamp was a pendant or crystal.
No, I'm going to be totally honest. When I saw the dot done, I was just like I just tilted directly off the face of the earth.
Oh, I don't blame you.
So there, at that point, I did not, like, it was very hard to care, like, oh, you know, what location is most likely. I just kind of was like,
you weren't thinking of the logic, you just kind of autopiloted.
Yeah.
To kind of detilt. Yeah,
Only until like that, I went to do the Turtle Rock big key chest, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be this one, and I'm just going to forfeit when I find the required item in this chest, because I am so freaking tired of that chest, and it turned out not to be, so I was like, okay, fine, I'll just finish the dump seed.
Yeah, I think we've all been there, so.
Yeah. Both you guys did the exact same thing in Pod, though. You guys both left with 1 extra spare key, but didn't take out Helma initially.
Right.
BigDunka didn't do the hammer jump and actually used a small key to get into the dark maze. So you were able to check 1 extra chest, and
I think it was nothing, so whatever.
Nothing. But yeah, Pod is just, it's so scary now. Like, you have to, like, walk on a tightrope, or, you know, I don't know what the phrase is.
Yeah, Pod strategy is interesting. I generally assume that there's going to be a double dip of Pod or more. So it's not, like, I was definitely not looking at the 2 keys and big key that I had and saying, like, oh, I shouldn't go to Pod. Like, it was definitely in my mind as, like, I should consider this at some point. And, you know, obviously, like I said, I was going to go there and then just did not, because good decisions. But, like, if I have 2 keys, I'm generally going to do, and I assume that Dunka did a very similar thing, which is do the bow side, assuming you have the bow, and then go skip the front door, go into the back, maybe check Harmless Hellway just for the heck of it, and then, you know, maybe bomb jump. But otherwise, like, if you find a key, even unless you have enough keys to then full clear the dungeon, just leave and come back when you have more keys.
Yeah.
It was fortunate that you guys found the mirror in there, so you didn't have to, like, worry about death warping, because BigDunka, you know, still had 2 fairies in bottles, so death warping was not even an option to him at that point. Yeah, speaking of deaths, that unfortunate one in Zora's domain that kept you from that Master Sword for a while, which overall didn't really cost you that much time, because, you know, Vitreous was all bow strats. Which ended up being, you know, roughly around the same versus BigDunka's Master Sword damage boosts.
Yeah, I'm terrified of doing that. And I think actually the way that worked out worst for me was when I went back later, I was so short on locations that I got that Master Sword, and I thought that was the cue to go into Aga Tower.
Yeah.
That just ended up being a big waste of time, too.
It makes sense. Duncan had already checked that, so we already knew it was just a bunch of rupees, but logistically, it does make sense to do that. But yeah, for Dunka, he did, when he finally got the mirror, as soon as he bailed on Pod, I think he went straight to Mire.
Yeah.
And got the desert. He did the same thing you did, where he went into desert, checked the right side and all the stuff in desert, mirrored out, but then went into Checkerboard Cave, got the big key, and then went straight back.
Yeah, that was no problem. Normally I'm a very methodical, get all the locations, cluster them all together as much as possible. Even if it's I don't know, even if I only need 2 things left, be very thorough, check everything, and just, I don't know, in this scene I just kept forgetting things like that, and that just ruined me. I can't believe my collection rate was only 172. I should have done more. I should have gone through GT basement and collected everything, and then
at least it wasn't 190. Oh, please! I'm glad you didn't, because
Well, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't have expected you guys to stick around.
Right.
In the I would just be like, all right, you guys should just head off, because
I'm still curious. I'm not gonna, we wouldn't force you to do this, but I am very curious to see what that small key on Lumberjack was, since you did find both the castle tower keys. But save it for a rainy day.
Yeah, no, I'm turning off my SNES, and I'm gonna play a game that I'm good at instead of this.
But yeah, it was, when you go back and eventually watch this, if you do, you might not. It totally up to you, but
I will.
For the most part, when you were up in T-Rock, BigDunka was doing, he did Desert, and then he got access to Thieves and did Thieves, and then he went back and finished Pod. So even if, without the Checkerboard mishap, he still probably would have had at least a 2-3 minute lead on you.
Yeah, I was expecting his execution to be better, and I had a couple deaths that did not help, but yeah, I would have liked to have routed at all in that scene, and then maybe it would have been closer. We've had in the races that Duncan and I have both been in, we've had a couple where I won and a couple where he won, so I was hoping to make it a little closer than this. Yeah,
the only routing thing that cost you a lot of time as well was, actually, I don't even know if it really cost you that much time, was just the late hook shot, because Duncan was able to do Paradox Cave and all that stuff in Hera first, but you got to do it with the mitts in hand, I think. So
where was that at again?
Zelda Cell.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so I don't know.
I don't think that made that big of a difference, since hookshot didn't actually lead to anything of value in.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh no, it was it led to Flute and Hookshot Cave.
Oh right, yeah. So that was the one thing, but I don't know. Again, it just comes back to that. I just was scatterbrained the whole time, and I just forgot Escape. Nothing major, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think on the really positive side, I think we brought this up a little bit earlier, but in terms of things you can feel really good about, being down a sword, can oftentimes make a big difference, and you did so well with the fighter sword execution on some of those early bosses that it really ended up not mattering much outside of the revisit to Zora. So, GG on that for sure. That's a daunting thing with green mail and fighter sword.
Yeah, thanks. I don't even practice Link to the Past as such. I pretty much just, when I'm doing rando seeds, I'll just be like, you know what, I think I'm gonna do this thing that seems kind of dumb relative to what I've been able to do in the past. So Vitreous with only no silvers and only fighter sword and stuff, I haven't really done that before. So
would you have gone in there if the bow wasn't in the Mire Shed?
If I didn't have bow, I probably would not have gone to Vitreous.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the only other thing I remember was getting grabbed by the Wallmaster, falling into Skullwoods, into Mothula, which was hilarious, but extremely unfortunate.
Yeah, that was really dumb.
But it happens. But anywho, GG's again. Despite the dumb, still put on a very good race for us to watch. So thank you for letting us commentate your race.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm looking forward to watching and listening to the commentary afterwards.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing you as well as BigDunka in the next round of Swiss, since you guys both still has 4 more races.
Oh my goodness.
So
God help me if they're like this one again.
plenty of more dumbs to have in the future. But GG, dude. Go play a good game. Not this one. Go play a real game.
Oh, Willard.
Later.
See you, buddy. Alrighty, guys. Well, that's gonna do us for us here over on SG3, at least with me and Emo. We do have another race coming up in 15 minutes, which I'm starting here pretty shortly. So we'll be handing it off. Just want to say thank you again to Sabatender for tracking this race for us, and particularly with the little mishap we had at the beginning, getting the wrong tracker, but made it work. Came out fine in the end. And of course, thank you as well to the fine folks at Speed Gaming for putting on these races, all you viewers out there, and of course to my co-commentator, Emo Saru, who, gotta say, guys, if you play this game and you need a good tracker, she's got a really good tracker. Also, Keysanity tracker, go hit her up. Send her that DM on Discord.
Oh, Lord.
She'll hook you up. But yeah, GG to all you guys out there, and thanks again. Signing out.
All right, bye-bye.